all the panelists and the moderator on the dais. We have very distinguished experts who have come all the way accepting our invitation. Our sincere gratitude to one and all on the dais. I welcome all the participants here. As you are aware, today we are having very intense focus group discussion on two very important topics. One is about the skill councils and their role in the skilling ecosystem. And the next one is about the drone and drone applications and how we can make that technology which will enable the people to get their empowerment. I will be requesting the moderator, Mrs. Kirti Seth, CEO, ITES Sector Skill Council, and I'll request her on the dais and take over the session forward. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Secretary. Welcome everyone. You've got a whole panel of Sector Skills Council CEOs here. So we're going to try and give you as much information as we can about what we do because there's just so much going on. But just before I start, just to get a sense of the audience we are talking to, who all are from education institutions? Colleges who are from colleges, can I just segregate the colleges and ITIs? That's colleges? Okay, great. And ITIs? And polytechnics? Okay, super. So we have the fantastic audience, exactly the kind of people we'd like to talk to. So by the year 2030, India will have the largest population in the age group of 15 to 60 in the world. This means that the entire world will be looking towards us to supply them with people. That's the job that we have as Sector Skills Councils and as you all sitting on that side of the dais. So just an introduction of what are Sector Skills Councils. Any of you have heard of Sector Skills Councils? Anyone's heard of what Sector Skills Councils are? Show of hands, please. Oh gosh, that's very sad. We've not done a very good job. So, Sector Skills Councils are autonomous bodies that have been incubated by the National Skill Development Corporation to bridge the gap between industry demand and what skill requirements should be. So, industry defines what the demand and supply of the demand for jobs is. They define what the skills are, and that's when Sector Skills Councils come in to take that information to the skilling ecosystem. There are 37 Sector Skills Councils from sectors as diverse as aerospace to agriculture, retail to rubber. I just realized I said aerospace to agriculture as if there's a big gap between them, but given that agriculture is the biggest users of drones these days, I guess there's really not much gap between agriculture and aviation anymore. So one of the most significant contributions of Sector Skills Councils is determining the skills and competency standards for job roles, which means what's the job, what are you going to do in that job, what are the skills required to do that job, and then based on this classification or breakdown of the job role, a Sector Skills Council conducts assessments and offers credit-based certifications, also accredits training partners and trainers to conduct training on these job roles. So our job is to build an ecosystem which is enabled with standardized trainings, and we call them qualifications, for each job role, for each sector. So it's a massive job, and if you haven't seen the skills qualification frameworks that Sector Skills Councils do, I would urge you to go to the NSDC website and check out the qualifications, and for each sector you'll find them. You'll find the beautiful breakdown of each job role. But India is going through a transformation. Education is transforming, industries are transforming, and attitudes to employment and entrepreneurship are transforming. And with this, SSCs need to transform too, for the new world, for new skills, for new technologies, new ways of teaching, new ways of learning. Now, I will ask my colleagues to tell you about what's going on in their sectors, but before I hand over to them, I thought I'll take the chance to just talk about IT for a little bit. We are part of NASSCOM. NASSCOM is the IT industry associations, and IT skills today are required pretty much everywhere. It's important that we prepare our workforce for this transformation. And as the workforce changes, we at IT, ITS, SSC are changing too. The biggest change that we did in 2018 was we set up a learning platform called Future Skills. And this was then funded by the government. Once we set it up, the government provided us some money to say, take it to every Indian. Why just the IT industry? Because the way IT was moving, we could not have done it in the traditional way. We would not have had the scale and the reach that we needed to do this without technology. So I would urge you all to again go to futureskillsprime.in. That's the site for this learning platform. It focuses on the 10 emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, all the hot words these days. We just launched our first few learning pathways on ChatGPT. So if you don't know what ChatGPT and generative AI is, then please go and look it up. So, so these courses are all aligned to the National Skills Qualification Framework. How many of you know what is the National Skills Qualification Framework? Again, very important with the launch of the National Credit Framework. Please look it up. Please learn about it, because there is so much that you can do under the NSQF and the National Credit Framework that can really transform the institutions that you are working with. So because these courses on the platform are aligned to the National Skills Qualification Framework, they are also credit equivalent. So our big task these days is to work with colleges and state governments to say how can these courses be included in curriculum, and we are also talking to DGT to say how can ITIs adopt these courses, because they are all credit equivalent, and the learner can incorporate them in the pursuit of their degree or their diploma. We've also started asking industry to create courses. This is whole industry academia gap that you're not teaching the right things. So we're asking industry to create courses which we are also getting accredited to the NSQF, and they become credit equivalent. Tools like AWS, Red Hat, Microsoft, Salesforce, ServiceNow, all these technologies that you hear all the time, they are also getting accredited. So anybody studying this can get credits in the course of education and attainment that they're doing. So we encourage colleges to get people certified. Then we conduct career fairs. We get people to come, industry to come and hire these people. We work closely with state governments who approve these colleges to be integrated into state government universities. And then we partner with them to do large-scale career fairs as well. So now, while what everyone is realizing is that you've got to integrate technology skills to every domain that you're working in. Whether it's mechanical, electronics, electric, civil, call it whatever you will, technology has to be a layer which is part of it. You won't be able to reach the levels of productivity you want to reach if you're not incorporating technology. As I mentioned ChatGPT earlier, and as academicians, you must all be facing the brunt of what students are doing with ChatGPT these days. Someone said it very well, AI will not take your job, but a person using AI will. So with that, I will now ask each SSC to come and give an overview about themselves, and I will start with Brigadier Yogesh Kapoor, VSM retired, Director General, Water Management and Plumbing, SSC.
Thank you, Kriti. Madam Padi, the officials of OSDA, Odisha State Government, and all those who facilitated our coming here, thank you very much for the arrangements. I represent a sector that just about 8 months back was referred to as the Indian Plumbing Skill Council. Odisha and plumbing have an umbilical that date back to good about 150 years. But a lot has changed in the world. Water becomes the buzzword. India has just tipped China at representing 17.8% of the world population. Now, out of this population figure, 50% of it in India faces public health issues related to water. By the year 2030, which is the buzzword for the central government, 40% of the Indian population will not have drinking water. By 2030, 6% of the Indian GDP will have been utilized to actually provide for the water crisis that India is going to undergo. So the threat and the problem is real and here. It is not imaginary. It was but natural that the Skill Council migrated to water issues. We actually provide inspirational skill courses, but that now is changing to becoming aspirational. For example, with ORMAS, we've got a target of 47,000 advanced water technicians to be trained. Now, if that be true, we do not have the NSQF aligned skill qualification as of now. But we were very quick to adjust to Odisha's request, and we are fielding this for acceptance with the NCVAT in the next 4 days. So from inspiration to aspiration, from rigidity of a centrally driven curriculum to a flexible one so that we cater to the local population of the state is what actually we cater to. In summation, because I've been given just 2 minutes to actually speak about my Sector Skill Council, more of it will come later. Though we've shifted our attention to water and are developing a whole lot of paradigms for water-related skill sets, we haven't let the plumbers go. Because we feel that water is an adjunct to plumbing and vice versa. If it is within the precincts of an infrastructure, plumbing is required. Everything that gets you to that infrastructure is water-driven. And water, of course, is the basis of sustenance for life. So we endeavor to actually prepare the workforce infusing technology. AI, she spoke about. And there are many manifestations of AI. We are talking of edge computing. We're no longer referring to cloud-based computing. That's archaic. We are talking of metaverse. So we are using all of that in our water-based qualifications to actually skill the workforce so that they align to the Industry 4.0 and therefore are more employable and meeting with their aspirations. We are developing capabilities to the technical vocational educational training, and a whole lot of you raised your hands from representing that segment. We are aligning with the new education policy and the National Credit Framework, as Kriti mentioned, and the most important facet here, Madam Pari, is that whilst all the credit framework, etc. is laid out, we feel that a skilling is as good as the person who is disseminating the skilling. So therefore, as teachers, you all have an exponential role actually in understanding the landscape, the horizon, how it is panning out, and adapting to that particular change. So change is a constant, but adaptability is a mindset. We are also creating, along with the skill, this glib word of skill qualifications, we are creating occupational map. how will that inspiration to aspirational level shift vertically and horizontally? How will that individual be micro-credentialed so that he is actually an expert in the domain that he's been skilled on? The age of generalists versus specialists. We are also building on the industry platform. We have a lot of centers of excellence. We built one in 2019 with Hindware at Kendrapara. We've got one SIT at Bhubaneswar, and we are in the process of developing state-of-art centers of excellence. Because in my particular, and that's the last 30 seconds, I don't have eyes here, but I can preempt your vibes. What we are doing is actually, you must understand, the plumbing segment may be 5th and 8th class school dropout and hands-me-down vocation from parents. On the other side of the spectrum for water-based qualifications, you have graduates, ITI, Polytech people. Now look at that canvas that has to be covered. Now we've got to take all of them along, and therefore we are offering a bouquet of qualifications that cater for this particular thing. And last but not the least, and we'll speak again from there, is that we are also looking after international placement for people who are above the average notch. Thank you.
Check. Thank you, Brigadier Kapoor. I'll now ask Mr. Sanjay Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, Skill Council for Mining.
A very good morning, one and all. And thank you, Kirti, for inviting me. Let me adhere to the time schedule. I am Sanjay Sharma. I represent Mining Vertical. And our council is promoted by Federation of Indian Mineral Industries. We are the non-statutory agency for certifying mining workforce. Since inception, means December 13 till date, we have trained around 190,000 candidates, and around 80% are certified. We are also designated as a joint apprentice advisor. We have created around 46 job roles pertaining to basically blue-collar community of mining workforce, dumper operator, tipper operator, maintenance disciplines. And all these job roles also qualifies for optional trades apprentices who can be engaged in industries. And we have succeed in putting our people as apprentices also in the industries. We carried out a study through PricewaterhouseCoopers in the last 2 years ago, and they forecasted requirement of around 8,50,000 lakhs in core mining and ancillary services till 2025. It means there's a demand in mining sphere. But we need trained people. We cannot compromise on just a graduate or just a ITI people to be absorbed in mines. They may have the basic criteria, but they still need to be trained on the key aspect of the mining working. We do conduct RPL programs and short-term training programs through our M-Panel 22 training partners. And we draw funds from CSR of the industries as well as District Mineral Foundation Trust. Many of you may not be knowing about DMFT. I will just touch upon one line later on. We have been conducting programs in Odisha. Odisha is very welcome for the mining sector. In Angol, we delivered a program of 150 people trained in dumper operator and maintenance and tipper operator. Jajpur, we have already started a program, and we around 1,000 RPL and around 210 STT is undergoing. Latehar in Jharkhand also a program is launched through the DMFT fund. And before this, we did a very good program for Hindustan Zinc Limited Vedanta in Rajasthan, where we trained a team of around 350 youths in the job role of jumbo drill operator, very niche skill. The machine costs around not less than 15 crore, and it works underground the mines. So now the people are well placed. They are drawing salary not less than 50,000, and bonus you will imagine to listen. They are getting bonus around 80,000 in a year. Those people working in underground mines. So mines is a tough. It's in remote location. But it also requires a lot of dare, a lot of confidence, a lot of physics. And if you perform, you can draw a good salary, good incentives. Okay. Then taking a clue from the National Education Policy, we are entering into universities. We have signed MOU with the Pacific University, Udaipur, AKS University, Satna MP, and Medhavi skill university in Assam. We are embedding our programs in DVOC and BVOC in mining disciplines. We can already reach out to other institutes also to see that we also delivered at the programs. We do have tie-up with the Western Australia. There's a huge requirement of mining professionals. And I think the Odisha can be the one of the hub supplying the manpower there. But of course, they have a very high expectation in terms of literacy, in terms of IELTS qualification, in terms of hands-on equipment. They have a very huge equipment which we have not seen in India. In fact, hardly one of the industry has deployed machines. So if we have a long plan, long vision, we can make Odisha as a hub where we can develop tailor-made programs, and we can develop people to go to Australia, to migrate to Australia, and have a good quality of life. Okay. Now a small one last minute. I am not getting any vibes. Please be assured. Just 30 seconds more. So DMF, District Mineral Foundation Trust. Can anyone raise hand? How many are aware of this term? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 20% of this population. This fund is established by the government, I mean the state government, and in the 23 states, around 622 districts having this fund. You will wonder to know the corpus, the fund available as of now is around 75,000 crore, and hardly 52% amount is spent. If I reveal the figure of Odisha as on January this year, the collection of DMFT fund is around 21,375 crore rupees, and hardly 50% is spent. In skill sector, there is again a dedicated vertical in the DMFT to spend around 1,437 crore, but again the spend is hardly close to 52%. So it means there is a huge fund available across mining districts. We only need to be educated. I am really by bottom heart, I am thankful to this Odisha government who understand our proposals, who are giving us support. We are executing programs like Angul, like Jajpur, and some more proposals under pipeline. There were some hitches. How do we give a platform to the sector skill councils? But I think now the people available here, they will hear our voice and echo. Please call sector skill councils to see that we join hands together to train people and place them appropriately. And one last request to the senior leadership sitting over here. Let us make a mandatory the RPL in all the industries. There is a government mandate in the PSUs. Yes, they have to do, everybody has to be RPL certification, but it's not happening. So only one appeal, let there be a RPL made mandatory into all the industry, whether private or government. And there has to be emphasis on the CSR spend. Companies spend 2% of whatever profit they have and the CSR, but there is no dedicated vertical for skilling. Can we put a word? Can we echo this word? Yes, this much % to be spent on skilling also. That's all from my side. It's given timeline. Many thanks to Madam Usha Padi, IS and Principal Secretary, Madam. अगर आप दिल्ली नहीं आए होते हमारे इसमें curtain raiser में तुम्हें यहाँ नहीं होता. आपकी presence made us to come over here. Thank you very much for inviting us. Mr. Raghu, you have been very supportive to us. Thank you very much. And we are off record supporting you in ITI Koira, setting up by the OMC, and thankful to you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
And thank you, Pankajji and Dipti for best coordination and wonderful event you have hosted. Thank you very much.
I'll now invite Jancy Matthew, COO, Construction Skill Development Council of India.
A very good morning to the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I will speak with regards to my sector. I am from Construction Sector Skill Council. We have formed around 10 years back, and the Sector Skill Councils, as Kirti has already discussed, is to identify the skill requirements of the particular sector. So for example, construction, what is the skill requirement, what is the need of the industry, and we develop an occupational map, we identify the job roles which is relevant to the industry, and develop national occupational standards based on that, and we equate those qualifications with the national skill qualification frame levels also. And this is approved by the NCVT. Once it is approved by the NCVT, trainings, assessments, everything can take place. Now, I want to tell you why this SSCs are relevant for the skill ecosystem, because every time we hear a lot about gap between the academic training and the required skills in the industry. So when our engineers comes out, diploma holders, degree holders, they don't get jobs. And I'm hearing core engineering, there is no takers for core engineering subjects now. That's a pathetic thing, because without core engineering, how are you going to build your structures, build your buildings, bridges? So it's very important. And there is a huge repository available now there are so many academicians sitting here. Please look at the websites of our Sector Skill Council's websites, NSDC websites. There are these qualifications and national occupational standards available in the website. I would suggest you to, when you are modifying your curriculum, because how will you imbibe skills in the system until and unless you bring those curriculum, the training curriculums into your system? How are you going to skill your students as per the industry requirements? Because academic learning is already there. So until and unless you change that curriculums, this is not going to take place. Diploma level, degree level, school level, some as per NEP 2020, they are introducing some competency-based learning there. So that is the way to go. The competency-based learning has to be taken up by the polytechnics, by the engineering colleges. I think the technical education can do a lot here. Your curriculum committees should, while you are forming your curriculum committees, please engage the relevant sector skill council experts also, so that they can guide you, the skill training, skill curriculum, how to, imbibe in your this thing. Because you already have academic, and it's not much difference, because we talk about some outcomes which is to be performed by the worker at the site or at the field of work. So the knowledge also we have defined, to perform that outcome, what is the underpinning knowledge is required. This is what we have mentioned in the National Occupational Standard. National Occupational Standard is nothing but a function of a job holder. Say, for example, a qualification pack, if you look at, I would suggest the civil engineering people to have a look at the construction sector civil website and look at a qualification. Say, let's take any qualification, a mason's qualification. When you go to the second or third page, you will see National Occupational Standards. That's nothing but the major functions they do at their workplace. That's all. So those are the competencies which is required to perform by a mason. So you would say, why would a diploma holder or a degree holder should know these competencies? Because you are the ones who are going to supervise them. You are the ones who are going to assure the quality of these workers. How will you do that if you don't know that? So therefore, that competency-based learning should be imbibed in the curriculum. That should be the way forward for getting skilled people out of the institutions, academic institutions. Also the future skills. We have actually concentrated on the 85 to 90% workforce, which is the skilled workers, masons, carpenters, supervisors, foreman, and kind of thing. But, and that is 90% plus workforce requirement is from that segment only. The engineers, the higher managers and all, 5% maximum. That's there. But that 5% is also the future skills, the competency requirements are important. So the building information management and kind of things are, which is, we have developed some qualifications which is submitted to NCVT also, approval mode. So, and once you take up the skill competency-based learning into the colleges, it's very important the trainer has to be, trained for that, for taking that kind of training. So, sector skill councils actually facilitate training of trainer and training of assessor programs. So, this is just a 10 days program. Those who have got experience in this particular domain, they will come and then they will be given a 10 days short duration training program by which you can get certified as a trainer. So your faculties, I would suggest if you are taking it in your curriculum, your faculty should go through a small kind of a training program, or else I would suggest your faculty should be on deputation to the field of work. That would be a good idea. Say 3 months deputation, 6 months deputation. So these are all suggestions.
Thank you, Jansi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay.
So I'm just going, we are halfway through. I want to do a pop quiz. How many know what NCVT is? National Council for Vocational Education and Training. That's it? Only so many of you? Or is the rest sleeping? I just want to wake everybody up a little bit. How many know what RPL is? Recognition of prior learning. Would any one of you want to explain what is RPL? I think you mentioned RPL.
Yeah, RPL, long ago there was a gadget notion also, wherein all the industries were advised. RPL basically denotes recognition of prior learning. The people who may not be well qualified, maybe the like ITI or other discipline, they may be by virtue of experience, they may be working the last 10 years, 20 years. They could be the community from land losers or PEPs. So see, there is a program run by government, and we do a program ranging from 3 days to 10 days, 11 days. In fact, this program, we as, sorry? Okay, so that's all. I mean, it is a program just to recognize their existing skill, that's all, in short. Thank you.
That means people who have experience can now get certified, get a government-approved certification if you do RPL.
Sorry, I'll just add to whatever they've said is absolutely correct. The only difference, the nuance in the difference is that from the experiential learning from hands me down, that person has been now put through an institutionalized skill curriculum.
Thank you. How many know what STT is? Short-term training. Would anyone like to explain what is short-term training?
So we have fundamentally two kinds of training in the skill ecosystem, what is called a long-term training, which is largely catered by the skill pro courses in ITIs, both government and private. And then there's short-term training, which usually is between 6 weeks to maybe about 15 weeks or 20 weeks, which is focused on a particular qualification or a job role, which usually the sector skill councils offer and take it validated by the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. How many know what is a qualification pack? Ooh, that is terrible. Come on, folks. How many know what is a qualification pack? SSCs don't count. The rest of you can't answer. Next to you. Okay. So now, Rupak, would you like to explain what is a qualification pack? Because we are going on talking about qualification packs. That is the heart of what the Sector Skills Council does. I think before the rest of the SSCs go, it's important to understand.
So basically, the qualification pack denotes what exactly, in a very layman's language you can say, is any job role, what is expected out of that job role. Scientifically, this is laid down, any job role, whether welder, plumber, XYZ, what exactly the employer actually needs or what exactly is expected out of that job role, very, very scientifically. As this is laid down, and this is what is called qualification pack. Once a qualification pack is made, it's uniform, and entire country, the trainings, the STTs or the RP, they take place based on those qualification packs. It's a combination of national occupational standards, and it's in a layman's language, what we can say is that anything which is expected out of a particular job role is scientifically laid down.
Thank you. And I just add that the qualification pack is a reference document. So if you're defining curriculum, or if you're defining a job role, you can refer to the qualification pack. You can pick up the description of the task, the description of the competency. It also helps you with performance criteria. How should you assess this competency? Because you are all academicians, you're running assessments. If you look at the qualification packs, you'll get a beautiful description that if you want to assess this person's, say, programming, I mean, I'm from IT, so I'll say programming, what are the 3 things that you should measure? That's why it's a beautiful guidance document. It's the heart of what the SSC does. I now call on Mr. Arindam Lahiri, CEO Automotive Sector Automotive Skills Development Council.
Thank you, Kirti. Very good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be part of this skill conclave at Odisha. And Odisha, as Madam said in the morning, I think has already taken a lead in a lot of skill development initiatives, which I think we talk about when we speak to some of the other states, actually. So that is something, which we always would feel very, inspired in terms of getting associated with this particular state. Coming to Automotive Skill Council, we were one of the first sector skill councils in this country to be set up under the NSTC umbrella, the National Skill Development Corporation umbrella. We are also now an accredited body along with other sector skill councils as an awarding body with NCVT, which means that we will be able to offer credit-based certification programs as per the guidelines of the NCVT. This council has been set up by the 3 leading associations in the country in automobile industry: the vehicle manufacturers, SIAM, component manufacturers, ACMA, and the Dealers Association, FADA. And between them, actually, they contribute to about maybe about 70–80% of the jobs that are there in that industry. There is also a certain amount of jobs that are available, which is in the unorganized sector part of the automobile industry, which predominantly is an organized sector. If I look at our sector, I would say that today when we look forward, and I'm sure most of you would have interest in automobiles because you must be using one of the automobiles at home or yourself or at work. So you would be aware of what an automobile is all about. But if I look at the future of automobiles, we look at a 3S model. A 3S model talks about a smart, safe, and sustainable automobile. Smart because today mobility is a solution. It is just not about going from point A to point B, but how is your experience about going from point A to point B, and that's exactly what we're looking at. Safe, because safety is one of our priority areas, not only about the road safety, which is of course the biggest and most important thing, but also about the safety to the passengers themselves, safety of users themselves, safety of people who deal with it, who make it. Everyone's safety is a very high of very high importance to this particular industry. And the final is about sustainability, because we use a lot of different materials in an automobile. And there is a constant endeavor today how to make a fully circular automobile. There are experiments around how can I replace plastic parts with maybe bamboo-based moldings in automobiles. Okay, and things like that. So we are constantly striving to figure out in terms of technology as to how can we make a more circular automobile which can be recycled in some other way. I mean, may not be necessarily building another automobile, but can be used by some other industry, some other allied sector in terms of when the usage, the life of the automobile is over. Because you don't want, we don't see this in our country, but if you go to Europe or US, one of the largest space-consuming areas that we look at is the automobile junkyards. We talk about our, the dump yards for our, the junk that we create in terms of our, usage at homes, households. In the Western world, the biggest junkyards are the automobile junkyards. And we don't want India to become one of those, essentially. Having said that, what does this council do? The council essentially looks at all the traditional job roles, which are, of course, in today's existing condition, right from R&D to driving. And driving, for us, is a non-statutory training that we do. We do driving courses where people who want to take up driving as a profession, as a vocation, is where we train them. So we have curriculum like forklift operator, we have ambulance driver, etc., including the regular taxi drivers and the commercial vehicle drivers, etc. But having said that, there's a lot of work that we are doing right now in 3 of our subsectors, which are research and development, manufacturing, and after-sales service, because this is where a lot of technical training is involved, you know. And if we look at this, all of you would be aware of electric vehicles, so I'm not going to spend much time, and I know Kirti would be looking at me very soon. So I don't want to talk about electric vehicles here, but I must tell you that there's a lot more happening on alternate energy vehicles. There is hydrogen that is coming up. We are working on it. We already have a qualification on flex fuel engines. How many of you are aware of flex fuel engines? Just one. Rajiv ji, you are discounted anyway. So, so flex fuel engine is an engine which can run on different fuels without changing the engine. Okay? So we are largely talking at it in context of ethanol-based fuels. You already know that we mix about 10% ethanol today in the country across the board in terms of our fossil fuels. How can we make an engine which is from E20 to E100? And there are technologies available and are work in progress today, of course. But we already have a qualification which talks about the basic principles of flex fuel engine and how can somebody become a flex fuel expert, flex fuel engine expert. We are talking about battery swapping station engineers. When you design a battery swapping station, you would need to design what capacity, what current that you need to take, what kind of batteries it will accommodate, etc. And where all in your optimization problem, where all would you want to set up the battery swapping station? Battery swapping is, India already has a national policy around battery swapping. So how do you do this? We talk about all the Industry 4.0 applications, cybersecurity in automotive. We talk about in IIoTs, data analytics, automation and robotics, 3D printing, okay? And we already have courses for each one of them at various levels, whether it is at a polytechnic operator level or at a degree level where it's an engineering level, essentially. So I'm going to kind of stop here, but I'm going to leave you with the thought that it's very important for colleges today, you know, and I keep hearing this, I think Jansi was talking about it, that more students are not coming into core engineering. Please understand today automobile engineering is not mechanical engineering. Automobile engineering is not electrical engineering. Automobile engineering is not electronics engineering. Automobile engineering is not computer science engineering. But automobile engineering is all 4 of them, including chemical engineering, okay, and maybe others. Okay, I might be leaving. Metallurgy, I'm leaving out another important field. Metallurgy, material science has become very critical for automobile engineering. So, last word, software is very attractive to the youngsters of today. I must tell you that automotive industry is going to be a major, major consumer of software. We already have an open source platform called AutoSAR. Any of you have heard about this? Few of you. Great, wonderful. How can we do training of our children, our youngsters in AutoSAR? We have a qualification for that, a curriculum for it, a content for it. If you are interested, we could work with you and offer those programs in your institutions for your students. And we would be very happy to see any opportunities of collaboration at any of the places of study where skilling can be already imbibed, because unless we do that, these kids will not become employable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arindam. I'm going to ask a question and just tell me which one of you wants to answer, because the point that Arindam brought out was how the SSCs work with industry to look at what is happening in the future. So especially when you're looking at curriculum change, or when you look at curriculum updation, or changing the courses that are offered in your institutions, what are the SSCs doing about being a little future facing? Who would like to talk a little bit in detail about that?
Okay, So what happens is that before I actually answer this, since we have a little bit of spare time. No. Okay. We have. I did. I apologize. But I want to say one thing from where Arindam left off. Apart from all that he said, that his skill council transcends for education, you are aware I'm from the army, right? And there is something called signature management. And signature management is that the adversary cannot pick you up through any of the infrared related sites or satellites or whatever, because that's you live to fight another day. So signature management means that whatever vehicle that you are in, the paints, the signature fumes that it lets out attenuates into the environment in such a manner that it merges with the surroundings. So if a vehicle is here, you will think you're seeing the background, but otherwise the vehicle is here. So you may like to add that in your future skills.
You already have that.
Okay.
Basically, not only from an army perspective, but there are various different use cases where a vehicle needs to be aligned with that environment that that vehicle is being used for. And of course, Army and Air Force and Armed Forces is of course one of the biggest example.
Very quickly then, the demand and the supply have actually come closer with the infusion of technology. We have things like the gig aggregators, you have the urban company, you have Easy Fix, Easy Join. So what are we doing? We are tapping them, offering them the requisition of prior learning, reskilling them, upskilling them, giving them micro-credentials, and thereafter putting them back into the market so that when they visit your homes, they are that much more proficient.
Thanks for that. I'll now ask Dr. Rupak Vashish, CEO and Director General, Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Skills Council.
Good morning, everybody. Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Skill Council. When I had joined the organization, I used to keep a very small slip in my pocket to pronounce it correctly. Anyways, so basically apparel again, Made-ups, home furnishing everybody knows, apparel everybody knows. Made-ups is something which is apparel which is not wearable. So there's, by the way, a lot of market of made-ups, like aprons, like rugs, like gloves, handkerchiefs. So these are the apparel. They're basically, this segment is called made-ups. So we look after the apparel, made-ups, and home furnishing sector. Now it's considered, everybody says, and it's considered second largest employment generator after agriculture. So we already have around 4 to 4.5 crore people working directly in this sector. If you add the ancillaries and others, it reaches around 9 to 10 crore persons. Now there's a huge demand in this particular sector. I'm talking of pre-COVID. It's 86, KPMG had done some study in our sector. And they say 86 lakh more people were required pre-COVID. Now post-COVID, by the way, the requirement has gone even more because of the migration. So, and in any case, COVID very badly affected all the sectors, including our sector. You remember all these virtual meetings taking place with the court, and down we all used to wear shorts. So there was no requirement of apparel actually. But it has bounced back very, very fast. Now, we are trying to cater to the skilling requirements of this sector. And we are doing, we feel that we are doing fairly well, because since 2014 till now, we have skilled and certified more than 20 lakh persons in this sector. And this is a huge number. And but comparing the requirement of 86 lakh requirement, 20 lakh is nothing. So we are all trying to work with the state governments, with the central government in any case, with the state governments and the various institutions. We work with schools. We work with in any case we do this Skill India. The short-term trainings we already do. This is like any other sector skill council. And we also work with the schools, we work with the universities, we work with engineering colleges under AICTE. Everywhere, in fact, our courses are run And our courses make them more employable. So if it's a university, in addition to their own, whatever they are learning right now, so additionally, these courses are taught, schools also, colleges also, and even in engineering colleges also. You will be surprised, by the way, there's a very, very, small kind of a level called sewing machine operator. Very simple. 8 standard pass is the requirement of sewing machine operator. We have skilled more than around approximately 8 lakh sewing machine operators out of 20 lakh persons. And once we did an analysis, we found that 95% of the persons actually held the qualification, that minimum qualification of 8th. 95% of them actually held the qualification above the level of 10th standard. And there were thousands of 12th, thousands of graduates, thousands of postgraduates, and very, very surprisingly, there were many PhDs also who did sewing machine operators, course. So this basically reveals that these courses certainly help people in some way or the other. So similarly, I think all the sector skill councils, all the job roles which are being offered by the sector skill councils, they touch, somebody or, they in some way or the other. And, and now, by the way, as far as apparel sector is concerned, now we have already done, I think we have done something in the shop floor level. Now we are basically now trying to come to the higher levels, basically. Now we are basically working with the colleges, having the Bachelor of Vocational Studies, the BVOC courses, because our apparel management, apparel sector actually lacks good supervisory level. So we are working very, very heavily on this. And by the way, working with Odisha has always been a pleasure. We are already working very closely with the Mission Shakti. Mission Shakti is a very prestigious, scheme going on in Odisha, and we have already skilled more than 10,000 women in this. 10,000 more perhaps are now being skilled in this. Thank you very much. We'll be discussing further on this.
Thank you, Dr. Rupak. Sorry, I'm not stealing Kriti's thunder here, but I'm just stepping in for a bit. There was a very interesting inquisition that you made, and the ladies, I saw them with glib-eyed, when you said that you have something called made up. Now, it's a real word play with English, because imagine if the husband tells the wife, you haven't put makeup today, and the wife says, I've made up, but actually you're talking of handkerchiefs and all that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier Kapoor. I now invite Professor G.K. Chokyal, Head of Academics, Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University.
Good morning, everybody here. I'm G.K. Chokyal from aviation sector, in fact. After working in the industry for 39 years, out of that 32 years in aviation, I have joined now as academician. I'm head of academics at Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University. And I completed my PhD after retirement from Airport Authority of India. So I would also like to put one question to all of you academicians here. How many of you know about Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because probably yesterday I met many of you and exchanged the card. And ma'am was, of course, heading Udan scheme in Ministry of Civil Aviation, where I was with her as head of implementing team. And she got the Prime Minister's Award for Udan also. So very few people actually know about the aviation in India and aviation jobs in India. And if you ask general public that, what are the jobs in aviation, most of us will say pilot or air hostess. These two jobs only. They hardly make 10 to 15% of the total jobs in aviation. the total jobs in aviation in India at present, direct jobs, are 2.5 lakhs. And indirect job will be 6 times that. So that comes to around 15, 16 lakhs aviation jobs in India. But since nobody knows about what are the jobs, Government of India started its first aviation university in 2019 under an act of parliament, and we started first program in August 2019, and that was postgraduate diploma in airport operations. It's a 3-semester program, and our focus, even before the new education policy, was on internship. So our first program have 3 semesters. 2 semesters student is taught in the university by the experts from the industry only. The faculty is from the industry only. Even I am from the industry as head of academics, and I also teach airport operations, airport planning, sometimes airport engineering also, and exporting, airside, and all those things. So everybody in this university, the faculty is from the sector. And I must tell you that since nobody knows about the university, very few people know about the university, and we spent, being a government organization, we spent a little amount on advertising, except that, window advertisement, very soon you will also see on the, in the newspapers, and of course the details will be on our website. And awareness is not there, except in South India. 40% of our students in Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University are from Kerala and Tamil Nadu and southern states. In northern states, very low level of awareness is there, and we have been trying to increase that. I'm thankful to the organizers for inviting me here. And there are only 2 girl students of Odia origin in our university, and that too they are from Delhi and Noida, not from exactly from Odisha. So I have requested yesterday, I met 3-4 engineering principals of engineering colleges, because engineers are preferred for airside operations. And I must tell you that most of our students, they get the job. 95% of the PGDO students have got the job. They are working at Delhi airport, they are working at Lucknow airport, they are working at Ahmedabad airport, all these Adani airports and GMR airports, they are working. Then second program we have is Bachelor of Management Studies in Aviation Services and Air Cargo. That is undergraduate program. It's a 3-year program. 2 years again at the university by the industry experts only, and 1 year with the industry as internship. And during this internship or apprenticeship, you call it, they are paid also. Our first batch of our students is now undergoing apprenticeship with their 5-6 industry companies, and they are getting from 8,000 to 18,000. Kale consultant at aviation consultant, in fact, at Mumbai, they are paying 18,000 in 3rd year. So they start earning in 3rd year. And most of them, I'm quite sure that they will be absorbed with those companies. They are quite happy with our students. So there also I'm quite I'm hopeful that 90% of them will be get the jobs. And the third program is a certificate program of 6 months only. Again, the undergraduate was for 10+2 with mathematics and or commerce. Third program, this basic firefighters course. It's a 6 month certificate course, and there only 10+2 student is there, but their physical requirement is there. I think for boys, it is the height requirement is 167 centimeter, and for girls it is 165. So, and there are girls also, trained by us. There also around 85 to 90% of our students are getting absorbed at various airports, including girl also. The first girl firefighter of IGI airport is from National Aviation University, Raebareli. And it was there in papers also, local papers. So I hope I have not exceeded my this thing. But I will request that, I have a PowerPoint presentation. There are 3 programs. If you want to see details, you can, in fact, need not see also. You can contact me. My phone number I can give all of you. My phone number is 9560 77. Yeah, slide we can put there. 9560 779954. Yeah, that was actually in Odisha, Udan airports in Odisha. And flights have also started from Jaipur and Rourkela, connecting various, the airports. And these are, the aviation jobs are not only pilot and cabin crew. Cabin crew. They are, the ground operations also. 85% of the jobs are other than pilot and. Just go to the programs you wanted to show. Yeah. They are next actually. Airport terminal operations. These are the, various jobs. Right. This one. Okay. Yeah. This is the National Aviation University at Raebareli. It's a central university, I have already said. These are the photographs of the university. Yeah, this is the classroom. World class, world class facility is there. This is the seminar hall. There are 2 seminar halls of 209 capacity. This is the computer lab. And they are our hostel block and faculty blocks. This is the room, beautiful room. Yeah, this is the first program, postgraduate diploma in airport operations. And you can see where our students are working at the moment. Only 2 of our first batch students, they could not get the job because they wanted job near their homes. So they could not get it. Right. This is, I have a pamphlet also with me, 2, 3. You can, anyone who want to know more about it can contact me. I can. This is the fee for postgraduate diploma in airport operations. And these are, as I said, it is our focus is on industry exposure. Our batch at IGRUA. We have, by the way, from classroom, our students can see landing and takeoff of the aircraft because it is next to the runway. The second one, Bachelor of Management Studies in Aviation Services and Air Cargo. This is BMS, 3 year, 2 years plus 1 year. I have already explained about this. Again, a pamphlet on that. The fee structure. This is available on our website also. And the student at Lucknow Airport. During the break, semester break, if student wants to go for short internship near their home, we allow them. The Calicut Airport, Chennai Airport, you can see here. Yeah, please. It's over. This is the basic firefighter, 6 months certificate course. Yeah. Future programs also. We celebrate all the festivals of India. Most of the students are from Kerala, so we celebrate Onam also. Onam, Pongal, and all. Thank you. Contact details are not there, but I have my cards. You can have the card from me. Yeah. I would love to have a lot of questions from you on aviation.
Thank you, sir. We are at 11:07. What's our hard stop? Okay, so I think I'll just hand it over to the audience now. You've heard a lot of different things. So we'll do some quick Q&A, and I request the audience also keep it short so we can take some 3-4 questions. Yeah, the gentleman there.
Thank you all. My name is Sunil. I'm working in the skill ecosystem since last 10 years. So my question is related to world skill competition, because I worked as an expert also for Green Jobs Sector Skill Council in renewable energy. What we have seen that India's getting medal in the world skill competition in the international forum is significantly less than our counterparts. One of the possible observation could be our kids, our youth is introduced into the skilling maybe after they are, ITI or vocational courses. But while we talk to the counterparts, we observed that their, school kids also introduce you into the skilling courses. So they have more exposure and more skill set than our kids. So my question is to Sanjay Sharmaji that, like as you talk about national education policy, 2020, you are talking to universities. It is also mentioned there that our school kids also will get a chance to be introduced into the skilling system. Vocational courses will be introduced into school level. But it is unclear when and how this process would be implemented in the schools, how the training partners would be involved.
I request
how
you to
this-
keep your question short.
So it is how it will be and when it will be introduced. Is there a clarity in this national education policies?
We're answering in a better way. Yeah.
Basically, just wanted to tell you that, first of all, across the country, in most of the state boards, a vocational subject is being taught in addition to the academics. The vocational subjects are being taught of different sectors. It's already going on at the moment. Only difference which has come with the national education policy, the new policy, is that instead of, right now, we are imparting them, let's say we have one job role of, let's say, automobile sector skill council. So this particular job role is split into 4 levels: 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 300 hours. So around 125 hours are basically taught into each 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. What the difference has come right now in the national new policy is that now from 6th standard itself, the skilling would start. But actual skilling will not start from 6, by the way. This is basically, preparing them and, making this as a kind of, they should look forward for the skilling, this thing. The framework is right now being made at the moment. And, but that this school skilling is already going on across the country.
But sir, that's through Ramsa and very less percentage of schools
Yes,
are
yes,
actually
that's it. Yeah, the
access
number should be, and by the way, this is becoming more serious now. It's becoming more serious now. More and more state boards are now coming forward, and because the number of students being certified by the sector skill council, at least the number says this, that this is certainly becoming more serious. But yes, 100% the schools have not actually implemented this, and perhaps we can have a kind of a hub and spoke kind of model also, like I saw in Atlanta. There's a okay. Bye. I think the time is short. Perhaps
And this is a
we'll
topic
discuss
that
about it.
that has no end.
Go on, please.
I see another question. Yes, I think this is a topic that needs a chai pe charcha.
Yeah, we can discuss during the tea, please.
Myself, H.K. Mohanty, I am the principal of Bhuvanananda Odisha School of Engineering, basically a polytechnic. I have got few questions from SSC. SSC mostly associated with short-term skilling. How SSC can help polytechnic students during their course schedule?
Thank you. Who'd like to answer that?
So we today have courses which are at polytechnic level or at a degree level where you could take courses and combine them along with your regular course design, academic course design, and that can be offered. And some of those can be delivered with partnership with SSC, where we could also get some of the industry experts to come in and do special sessions in those areas, sometimes physical, sometimes virtual, and also exposure to industry if required. Unfortunately, for my industry, I can tell you that Odisha wouldn't have a local exposure. So in that case, it will have to go to where an automotive cluster is.
So they are for running those courses, specifically your SSC, the tube is designed by SSC. We need separate lab or high standard lab, industry standard lab. At this point of time, we may not have such lab. So how SSC can?
So what I would request is, just catch up later. And I would request the organizers if you can just send email IDs to the group so that you can reach out for further questions. So I'll come back to you, but I want to give someone else a chance and I'll come back to you. Gentleman at the back.
Yeah, good morning. Actually, my question is for all the panelists. I am Padmalochan Behra, Senior Lecturer in Civil Engineering from Government Polytechnic, Sonpur. Now, my question is, nowadays the industry is looking for person with skill. So, someone has spent 3 years in the qualification of diploma, and after diploma he don't have that skill, so industry looking for. So, my question to all the panelists that what is the plan? Why can't we include the skill in the curriculum?
So thank you. I'll ask Jansi if you can answer.
Yes, that is the solution. Actually, that's what I was suggesting to. But the academicians, the curriculum development board has to decide, because you cannot change the curriculum as such. So as per the ACT approval or whatever your recommendations, a modification need to be done in your curriculum. And it's not a big modification, but even little bit of modification from semester 1 to last semester. Clear pathways are there, career progression pathways are there. So the skill component should be introduced in the training, in the curriculum, because we have developed standards and curriculum is also available. And what is the infrastructure required for doing that training? That's also available. A lot of repositories available. I am saying please make use of it.
And even the policy, the National Credit Framework allows this now. So please look it up, see the policy document, you'll find your problem is...
And we are implementing it in a few polytechnics across other states. So if you are interested, we can catch up offline after this.
I'll come back to you. Just a moment.
Just a few, no response required, just a few suggestions that we felt as a government that all your programs are done through this PIAs, Program Implementation Agencies. So what SSCs need to do is to select the best ones, incentivize them, and grade them also, so that we know whom to work with. That we don't have at this time, first thing. Second thing, SSC's collaboration with state councils is very minimal now. Our state council is already an AA and AB, but SSC did not collaborate at all. We need to collaborate more, so that more of our programs can be accredited by our state council, so that you needn't get into all those nitty-gritties. Third thing, we need an benchmarking with international standards, with something like the Red Seats program of Canada, Australian Skill Council, so that any student who is trained in Odisha can migrate to a country outside, and he needn't go through another training again to go there. And just suggestions.
No, very practical suggestions. I mean, I think that's what goes to implementation. Maybe we'll meet after this. Sir, your question?
Can SSB help us to find a suitable intensive training program for polytechnic teachers, like 3 to 6 months, which actually we are finding very difficult to train our polytechnic teachers, because we are not finding a suitable place to train them as per the need of industry. Can SSC help us?
Actually, if you are introducing skill curriculum in your curriculums, those teachers need to be trained. Actually, what SSC is facilitating a 10 days training program for the teachers. Is it internship you are doing? Okay, okay.
I think that's I don't think we...
So we are already doing this in Maharashtra and in Delhi. If there is a specific need, we can take it up. Our industry is very open to doing this. Depends on what area, what subject, what duration that you are looking at. Accordingly, that can be worked out. But we've already done about close to 300 teachers in Maharashtra and about 80 teachers in Delhi NCR already.
Excellent.
I can just add 10 seconds and say, yes sir, that is very much doable, it is possible, and SSCs are the right pathway to connect with industry. So industry, there is no hard and fast rule that only the candidates who are being trained can be placed under apprenticeship. Even teachers, if you want to recruit them for apprenticeship, it is possible to connect with SSCs. Even I think earlier
let's not get into a discussion. Any other questions?
Excuse me, I'm from MSME Department, Government of Odisha. I work in Conclave district as General Manager, DI, District University Status. We have a scheme where we invite class 8 pass person, I mean the adults, for taking loan, credit link subsidy. When I was told, I just heard that in stitching, I mean the tailoring, they are given credit link subsidy. How they can be really trained through this RPL scheme? I mean, what is the modality? Shall they be trained in situ, or their names shall be chosen and shall be sent to the concerned person who have sent us the mail, or what modality has to be worked out for training them, maybe in tailoring or any other trade, so that they can be credit linked to the bank for getting the loan amount and the subsidy to set up an enterprise.
The recognition of prior learning, all existing workers across the industry, any sector, they are provided with certain 4 to 12 hours of training, initial training, and after that the assessment is done, and they are basically issued with the Government of India's certification under the RPL scheme basically. So this is across the sector. This is available. So we actually couldn't get what exactly are you trying to say?
No, I just wanted to know if they are placed in Malkan. Malkan is the remotest place of the state.
Yeah.
So they shall not be able to come to the state.
No problem. This is done right at the where the people are there.
Who trains them? Who trains them?
We, the Sector Skill Council, and
How can you approach? How can
So
please
exchange visiting cards after this session.
We have mechanism. We have a full-fledged mechanism to do this. We have, in fact, done lakhs of certifications under the recognition of prior learning. Contact us. We'll be certainly providing you the solution, please.
So,
we got the mail? So within last 15 minutes.
yeah.
We can certainly we can discuss offline,
Yeah.
please.
I think we are out of time, but just seeing the enthusiasm, I think there's a lot to learn from both sides. I think what is happening in your ecosystem and what is happening in the SSC ecosystem. Some fundamental, I think what has emerged is there's some fundamental gaps in knowledge in terms of what facilities are available, what resources are available. So I would urge you to either get in touch individually, or maybe I can request your state government to organize even a virtual session. I mean, that is easy to do. If there is interest to have a deeper information session where it's very practical, you can put in your questions beforehand so that practically we can come with exactly those solutions, because what you're asking now is very, very typical. I think thank you for the suggestions that you made in terms of how can you engage better with Sector Skills Council as the government of Odisha. But perhaps I think what I'm taking away for our group is that we probably need to do a little better job of communicating what we do and communicating the massive, fabulous resources that are available with the Sector Skills Councils on what is happening in industry, what are the new job roles, and the world is changing so fast. Defining competencies is very difficult, and this is a job that Sector Skills Councils have already done. So I know companies spend a lot of money on competency development matrices where they see how people move from one job to another. This is a job that SSCs have done. So lakhs and crores of rupees are saved if you actually look at that homework. Of course, partnership with the SSCs to include the courses into your curriculum, partnership with the SSCs to think about certifications which are government approved and credit aligned. These are all possibilities. And any other specific things about how to engage, I think there's a lot to be done. But please visit the websites. You have a representation of 6 SSCs over here, and the Rajiv Gandhi University, which is also an awarding body. There's a massive amount of resources there, and please connect. This is our job. It is our job to help you understand and help to build your ecosystem and speed up the transformation that you want to bring about. So we are very happy to collaborate and very happy to help. Thank you very much for inviting all of us here. On behalf of the entire group, I thank you, Madam Padi. Thank you for having us here and organizing this session.
It was a pleasure listening to all of you. the passion was seen, and you are ready to help. I think there is a gap, and that was the intention to have this conversation so that these gaps can be built, both in action and in what we are doing and in the knowledge. I'm sure when you people were discussing, myself and Regu were finalizing, I mean, just we exchanged few quick notes saying that very soon we should be doing this knowledge sessions quite frequently, periodically, because the technology enables us to reach out to everybody at one point of time. So, and skilling is everywhere. Since last 2 days, we have been discussing, the concept has been that everything, everywhere, all at once. So we want to make skilling, bring skilling at the center stage. We are very thankful for all the members here. So I'll, just as a token of our respect and appreciation, I request my team members, some of them can come over here. Mrs. Rosina, Mr. Pinaki, Mr. Kanwar, Mr. Gangadhar. I'm just calling them to show that these are the people behind the entire organization. Just be on the stage and felicitate them. I'll request Vicky to coordinate, please. Please, quickly. So, just don't worry about the protocol seniority. Anybody can felicitate anyone. Thank you. And some of our, Deepthi, you are also, please. There is one more shawl left, I think, Deepthi. Yeah, he has done, I think. No? Okay. Thank you. I'll request the panels to come in front of the table so that we can have a picture. Regu, please, would you honor us by your presence also? We have a short break for tea because we had more time, but now considering the paucity of time, maybe 10 minutes. When I say 10 minutes, please make it 10 minutes, okay? And we'll come back, and next session would be moderated by, not moderated, just it will be, my panelist would be invited by Regu. He will be coordinating here from the dais. We have our minister, he may come in between because we have requested him to come and encourage all of us. So during the session, maybe he will come for a few minutes. If he's there, maybe we'll request him to say a few words. If I mean, that would be one small disruption. But I think you people are good in getting over the disruption. So thank you so much. And I must thank you, Mrs. Kirti, the wonderful moderation. Okay, thank you so much.
Session on drones, focus group discussion. I would now like to welcome our distinguished set of panels on stage, please. Mr. Smith Shaw, President, Drone Federation of India. Mr. Chirag Sharma, CEO of Drone Destination. Mr. Venkat GT, Managing Director, Grantaring Inclusive Development Services Private Limited. Mr. Infant Joseph, Business Development Head, Zupa Gen5 Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Praveen Prajapati, Co-founder and CEO of Indrones. And Mr. Pankaj Akula, CEO of Paris Aerospace. A warm welcome to all of you, and thank you all for making the time to come here. Please be seated. Yes. So just to set the context of this particular discussion, this was specially selected because this is one area where I think we all are interested in and we all want to get into, especially all our ITI and Polytechnic principals. To give the panelists a brief introduction about what we are trying to do. I mean, you must have seen the inauguration of the Skill Conclave. It started with the Honorable CM inaugurating the heavy load lifting drone from Bonby Technologies Limited, which is one of a startup incubated in Odisha, and one of whose founders is here. We are proud of him. He's a Odia boy from VSSC, from our state, Mr. Satpathy. So what I meant to say is that the conference itself started with the inauguration of a drone. Coming to the drones in our curriculum, we have drone pilot technician in our ITIs right now. It's a kind of a gray area because it's a 6-month course. We don't know what the students will exactly do after the 6 months. We feel it's too short a period for them to get trained in, but we are still struggling with the particular course curriculum. In terms of short-term training, we have a particular short-term training on extra high voltage transmission lines in ITI Hinjlicut, where students get trained in stringing the high voltage transmission lines. But along with that, there is also fault testing using drone technology. So that's something very new which we have introduced. These are some of the new areas in which we have drones in our curriculum. Other than that, we don't have much to say actually. We have some startups from Odisha who are working with us in this space, especially IG Drone, who is there in some of our ITIs. So these are some of the areas where currently we are working in. We are also interested in a lot of other areas regarding drones, for which we have this esteemed panel along with us. Just to give you a particular context, we have drones in the area of mining, which is a major area for us. OMC is exclusively using a lot of drones for its mining activity. And this is one area where we would like to get into very heavily. Some of the other things like survey of villages using for Swamitwa, digital sky, drone pilots, in the other schemes like the National Highway Authority of India, oil pipelines. So the possibilities for using drones in various industries and for skill development is endless. Now I'll hand over the platform to Mr. Smith Shaw, who is the President of the Drone Federation of India, and request him to start the session. I think we have a 2-hour session, so we can deliberate, and we expect a lot of questions from the learned audience also. Thank you.
Good morning. Are you all excited to learn about drones? Little bit more than the typical use cases of photography, defense, mining. Odisha is ahead in mining, so maybe that is a familiarity. Sir also mentioned about stringing of transmission lines via drones. I'll probably be able to cover a lot more applications beyond that. We have a short presentation, if that can come up on the screen, please. Okay, so my name is Smith Shah. I am the president at Drone Federation of India, and I am going to be taking a short session on drone, the regulations, various applications around it, not more than 10 minutes, and after that we'll move on to the panel discussion. We thought that while we want to speak about the skill development aspect on drones, it's also very important to set the foundation first on drones, its applications, and what are the regulations and certain changes that have happened recently. So we'll quickly look at that.
Right. Okay. So we currently represent so many people in the country, about 2,000 plus drone pilots, 120 service providers. These are people who use drones for various services, about 80 manufacturers and more than 10 training schools. This is only the community that Drone Federation of India as an industry body represents. There are many more in the country. Some of you might be surprised that there are more than 200 startups in the country already working on drone related manufacturing or other applications. We work with all the national security, Ministry of Civil Aviation and other line ministries, many state governments as well as our international counterparts. There are many organizations like us who are in other parts of the world that is more to establish equivalence of technical standards and skill standards. So drone technology is going to revolutionize transportation, logistics, defense and other sectors. And it's going to become one of the key technologies that is going to decide the strength of a country, whether economically or strategically in the coming future. This one image that we see is a drone that typically flies at 65,000 feet, which is 2 times the height of where an Indigo, SpiceJet or a typical commercial airliner flies. So that's where the technology already is, if you look at the height and the capability of the drone. So right from the small toy or the photography drone to that is everything under the ambit. Quick introduction about the technology. Any drone, you can logically break it down and say that these are the parts in a drone, logically. Of course, when the drone becomes big, these parts may become complicated. But any aircraft that is going to fly in the air where the pilot is not on board, whether small, big, whatever type of application, typically as a common term we called it drones. Sometimes it is also referred to as RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft. Some people say UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. Some people say UA, unmanned aircraft. Commonly, all of these words refer to drones. Let's look at what's happening with drones globally. So we have 4 lakh plus deliveries in healthcare, which has been done in Rwanda, Ghana and other parts of Africa by a company. These are global use cases, not Indian companies, foreign companies. We have e-commerce deliveries that have started globally. Drone taxis have become a reality. They are not some sci-fi movie, things that you see. In Dubai and China, people are giving joyrides. You can, just like an auto rickshaw, just open the door, sit inside, press OK on Google Maps and the drone will take off. There will be no pilot on board. 2 seats in the drone and both of them are passenger seats. And there is a drone flight that has happened also on Mars. So not just Earth, but also Mars. Let's look at some defense applications. Of course, that may not be very interesting for the audience today, but just to give a perspective. That is the first drone that we saw earlier in the first slide. There is something called as loitering ammunitions. Basically, these are missile drones. Then there are micro surveillance drones, the third where you see a soldier and his hand. That drone, by the way, is capable of doing thermal surveillance. It is capable of getting into windows, going inside areas where disaster response and survivor search might need to be done under some building that has collapsed. And the other one that you see, typically someone would look at the photo and mistake it for a missile launcher, but that is actually a drone launcher from where you can launch more than 40-50 drones, and all of them can go together and do surveillance or probably even drop certain offensive things whenever required on our adversaries. So that's the lay of the land, basically. Drones have over 100 plus applications. Almost every sector that you can think of, drones are bringing about a real revolution, whether it is capturing high resolution data or whether it is helping decision making, whether it is reaching areas where typically a man could not reach or it was difficult to reach. All of these sectors that you see, drones have a real impact. And by the way, these are not applications where drones are being tried to force fit. They are actually saving time, increasing efficiency, saving cost, or increasing the accuracy of data where decisions are being made. Huge market potential, basically thousands of crores of business that can be done. So that's the point of the slide. 1 lakh jobs immediately as drone pilots, and at least 10 times more jobs in the next 5 years as drone engineers and other various aspects of skill development that we are going to be talking about today. The drone industry is one of the industries where the lowest job, even an introductory person who's just going to do a 5-day course and become a drone pilot, has at least, at minimum in any region across the country, a 30,000 rupee per month salary. I mean, this is the bare minimum. Everything is beyond this. And by the way, for the 30,000 rupee job, you need to be a drone pilot. The training required is only 5 days. So you go to a, it can be priced as, it's a private training school. So you can open a training school, for example, with government approval, and you can price it as per your unit economics. Typically the cost ranges between 30 to 50,000 rupees. A 5-day training school, training program, government approved but privately run, and the minimum salary that you can get in the market is at least 30,000 rupees. This is the introductory qualification in the drone ecosystem.
Licensing?
Sorry?
Licensing, pilot licensing.
This is similar to the driving license that you get right now. Maybe a few details will emerge in the part of the discussion, and we can have a very detailed Q&A at the end. This session I will ensure that we have at least 20 minutes of Q&A minimum, so that many queries that people might have, we can solve them. So this is the drone industry in India. By the way, these numbers have also become outdated. The numbers have become at least 1.5 times now. Many manufacturers, many service providers, many training schools already, a lot of drone pilots that were doing aerial photography. So people who we see doing basic photography in wedding also basically require all this qualification as per government rules. And a lot of skilled professionals that are basically engineers or other support staff. Sorry? Yeah, we have a few people talking about that as well. So some history about drone regulations. Basically, we have gone from a thought of drones becoming a security nightmare to drones becoming a economic and strategic opportunity. So a lot of regulations have been flipped upside down, and a lot of regulatory reforms have happened, especially in August of 2021. Central government has come up with a very regulatory sort of reform, and all of the policies have been liberalized. Few examples of that I'll quickly show. So this is one slide on which you can basically explain the drone rules of the country. So it is now logically similar to automotive segment. So when you buy a new Maruti car, basically Maruti makes the new car and it has to get approved once. So that process is called type certification. Similarly, when you make a drone, you have to get it approved once, the drone model. After that, every time when Maruti sells a car, basically it has a registration plate, a license plate in front of the car. Similarly, every drone has to be registered, and after that you will get a registration number. Every person who drives the car basically requires a driving license. Similarly, every person who pilots a drone requires a drone pilot certificate. And recently, driving rules have also changed. You need to go to a driving school, a government authorized driving school, to get the driving training. Initially, it was that you can learn it on your own and just go give an exam. Recently, those rules are being changed now. So you go to a government authorized private drone training school, do a training, and after that you get the drone pilot certificate or the remote pilot certificate. After all of this, you may crash your car, so there is a requirement of insurance. Similarly, here there is a third-party liability insurance for covering damages that may happen to other people. And similarly, just like cars, if I want to go from here to the airport, I don't need to ask anyone any permission. So similarly, that region in India is called green zone, where if I want to fly a drone, no permission is required, including no permission from local police is required in green zone. If I want to drive my car in certain areas, which is your housing colony or office, then of course I need watchman's permission. Similarly, I need the air traffic controller's permission around the airport. And if I want to go drive my car in Rashtrapati Bhavan, then of course I have to be invited. Similarly, there is something called as red zone. And there if you want to sort of fly the drone, then you need central government's permission. So that's the rules basically. These are some additional details. So this is how the Indian airspace looks like. Basically, the entire country is divided like this into red, yellow, and green zone. And green zone, you don't need any permission. Yellow zone, you need air traffic controller's permission. And red zone, you require central government's permission. This is how the map looks on India. So everything that you see green, you can fly drones up to 400 feet with no permission of anyone. You just need to have an approved drone, register it, and have a remote pilot certificate from a training school. That's it. That's the regulatory reform that has happened. Many other unlimited number of initiatives being taken by central government, various state governments as well. I'll just highlight a few of them at the end of the slide. Many rules that have been reformed. So whether it is manufacturing, certification, training, lot of initiatives have been taken by the government. New GST codes have been defined to ensure that the business can be done seamlessly. These are the regulations for becoming a government authorized training school. I'll share all this information later on. These are the, this is my last slide, and these are the 4 key pillars on which basically the Indian drone ecosystem is revolving around. First is ease of doing business. Rules have been made so easy that it is unfortunate if someone is not wanting to comply. It's easy to comply. You just need an Aadhaar and passport, that's it. After that, you can become a part of the drone ecosystem. This passport requirement is basically to just ease away with the security clearance and all that. There is financial incentive if you are a drone company, if you make any sales, if you are a drone components company, if you make any sales above 50 lakhs, then you get the incentive. If you are a drone company, then the requirement is 2 crores. Anyone who's manufacturing drones, they can meet this criteria in less than 1 year's time. So government, if I make a sale of 100 rupees and if my purchase cost is 40 rupees, on 100 minus 40, which is the 60 rupees, government gives 20% financial incentive. Central government scheme with 120 crores as of now. Third, we need to promote domestic industry. So we need easy business. We need to motivate our young people to pursue this industry and create different startups. But we also want to ensure that they get strategic advantage. So import of drones is banned. Drones coming from outside are banned, but import of drone parts is free. So you are not stopping any technology from coming in the country, but you are ensuring that finally the technology is assembled in the country. Our young minds actually know about the technology and they are able to enhance it further. And lastly, we have government as the market maker. So whether it's the central government or the state government, like Odisha state government, there are many initiatives where central government or state government or PSUs are adopting drones in a very large number. So we have Indian Army that is buying drones worth 2,000 crores from Indian startups only, not foreign companies. We have Odisha Mining Corporation and many other such institutions that are using drones as the primary tool for decision making. Initially, what used to happen is you might see that people would use total station, which is that surveying equipment where you have a tripod and then there is a lens and then you look through the lens and measure distances. Highly inaccurate, takes a lot of time and would typically, be very inaccurate, or the inaccuracy would be high. Typically, if you wanted to do an audit of a mine, it would take about 3-4 days and the mining operations would need to be stopped. With drones, it happens now in a lunch break. So no stopping of mining operations, no health hazard, and all of that is happening with high resolution data. This data, by the way, cannot be fudged, so there is 100% transparency and it is digital in nature, so anyone can accurately track it, trace it, and then make decisions on that. So these are the kind of revolutions that are happening in the drone ecosystem, and more than the skilling, I actually wanted to set the context that it is not just a few use cases that we see in the newspaper or we have seen around, but there are more than 100 applications where right from photography to carrying people, actually drones are going to transform. And whether it is the defense sector or the commercial sector, drones are the future, because future transportation is going to be unmanned, future wars are going to be unmanned, future agriculture is going to be unmanned. No longer will our farmers need to go into the field and spray pesticides manually and then feel the irritation from those pesticide chemicals on their skin. But it will all be mechanized, and this will be similar to how tractors actually created better jobs and better mechanization in the farm. Similarly, drones are going to save the life of our laborers and farmers who are actually doing manual spraying right now. So these are some of the examples. We would, ma'am, probably invite Honorable Minister to make few remarks and then continue the session. If
He has come just to listen to us and will speak. We'll request again.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Shah, you can also explain. Just because he is there and he, as a team leader, he will be guiding us. So, what are the opportunities in Odisha for and how the Drone Federation of India can help us? You can very briefly tell. Then maybe you can request the Honorable Minister to say something.
Thank you. I was just checking how much time sir has, so we'll just touch upon, if we can go back to the presentation. So I'll just come back to one slide and maybe that explains some things about the opportunity. These are the key applications in which drones are bringing impact. Of course, when we talk about Odisha, one cannot miss about mining. So that's one area where a lot of drones are being used. Is there an opportunity to scale that up? Is there an opportunity to ensure that the data that is being captured and the skill that is required to do data analytics and drone operations and all can be very local? It will be very unfortunate to see that if drone companies, okay, they can be located across the country, but the people who are deployed in these drone mining operations, they have to be local, because naturally that is the advantage that the local youth has to get. So mining, one of the largest sectors where drones are being used. Surveying is another sector where the entire state, in some of the other examples, whether it is Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Haryana, the entire state, the new base map is being created by drones. So there is a huge opportunity for surveying and mapping. And agriculture, of course, is another area. Yesterday, I met someone who was saying that agricultural activity is also a big thing in Odisha. I was very hopeful. Sir, I'll just share one key remark where agriculture, how drones are making an impact. Typically, when we want to spray a pesticide in about 1 acre of land, the general thumb rule ratio is that we use 200 liters of water with about 8 to 10 liters of pesticide. And then it takes any labor about 1.5 to 2 hours to spray it manually using backpack sprayers. With drones, 90% water is saved. So you need just 10% of the water out of the 200 liters. Pesticide is 70%, so the ratio is drastically changed. But the time that is required for spraying in 1 acre is only 7 minutes. This time when the spraying is happening, the person who is controlling the drone is 300 meters away from the area where the spraying is happening. So there is no possibility of that pesticide coming on him and then that person, having any skin diseases or any other life-threatening diseases. So that's one of the segments. And there is already a central government scheme which is implemented through the state, of course, the submission on agriculture mechanization, where for buying these drones there is up to between 40 to 100% subsidy. So this is center and state partnership scheme which is being rolled out in various states, where let's say we popularize this technology and we want to give it out to all our farmers. Of course, when I say farmers, end farmer will always be the user of this technology. There will be local entrepreneurs that will give the services to farmers. So we can take the benefit of the central government policy liberalization and the proactiveness that we have in the state to ensure that we can further take that policy and implement it across the state. This is just one example. Now, as a state government holistically, what can we do about drone technology? The most important thing is skilling. Because right now when we talk about skilling, I showed 50 plus training schools across the country, but all of them are only focused on that 5-day to 7-day training program on flying drones. When I talk about a drone pilot, for every drone pilot, there is a requirement of at least 7 more people who are going to be either manufacturing, maintaining, data processing, or generating various types of maps. So can we look at the other 7 jobs that are required and not just that one job that already is being undertaken, including in Odisha. So skilling is one of the most important things. Second, while this may be covered under aerospace, but it takes only 4 people and a room to build the first drone. So there is a possibility of developing an entrepreneurship model. And typically when we talk about the aviation ecosystem, it's seen that, Airbus and Boeing, it's very difficult to, get into that aerospace grade manufacturing and then building solutions for that. But drones, which again is a part of the aerospace ecosystem, only requires 4 people and 1 room. So can we have a dedicated startup program where we can recognize people who are into drone technology? We can motivate them, provide them with some resources, build some incubator and testing infrastructure, coupled with the skilling infrastructure so that then local ecosystem can be created. We have policy reforms that have happened in the country. Globally, when we see other countries, they were having all these policy reforms 10 years back. But just in 1 year of our policy reform in India, a lot of other countries are now fearing whether India is going to surpass them, because what they could not do in 10 years, at least 50% of that we have already achieved in 1 year. So there is an immense potential of people. Of course, the youth here is very sincere, very hardworking. The entry barrier to start a company in this industry is very low. The amount of resources required is very low. So a dedicated hand-holding will be very important. And as the drone community, I'm sure all of you will support us. And as Drone Federation of India, what we would like to do is we would want to walk this talk with the government on an everyday basis. So whether it is encouraging people to develop this skilling curriculum with our partners here, or whether it is setting up mentorship programs for local entrepreneurs, or whether it is setting up a dedicated testing site for testing advanced category of drones. We saw one drone by one of our fellow entrepreneurs here, which was for heavy lift search and relief mechanism. That one was flying, but we need many more to fly, including he requires a lot of testing infrastructure. So we would want to have a very active collaboration with the state, and we would request, sir, your guidance to ensure that this technology, which is very early across the India, to become a hub. There are many advanced testing areas and defense areas already in Odisha. Why not a aerospace testing area and aerospace ecosystem as well? So with your guidance and ma'am already being there, I think we will be able to accelerate this much further. So that is a few suggestions. Maybe if few of you want to take 1 minute each,
Just
and
one
give
more
certain
suggestion,
suggestions.
sir. So I believe most, many state governments in India have started incorporating their own, drone corporations within the state. And generally what they end up doing, once they've established a corporation, they also invite different startups who are, looking at different, catering to different applications within drones for some sort of empanelment. To kickstart this, ecosystem at the state level, perhaps a corporation could also be formed. I'm sure, there may be some work that's already underway. And then, Drone Federation and companies like us who are working pan-India can definitely contribute and be part of that, corporation and assist you in terms of increasing the adoption of the technology on the ground. Since it's growing at such a fast pace, we all have to move pretty swiftly. So I think that could be one of the suggestions from my end. Yeah.
I am Pankaj, CEO of Paras Aerospace. Sir, just drawing some analogies or similarities from our international experience, both in Singapore and South Korea and various countries otherwise. There are very fastly every country or state are coming with, like Smith said, drone testing infrastructure, but there could be drone technology parks as well. So it's very easy, simple to build or dedicate certain spaces. So there could be a lot of option for a lot of industries to commonly use the infrastructure to develop a drone technology park, and then it could benefit both the skilling initiative as well as the manufacturers and the new startups that could be coming. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. My name is Venkat. I'm from Gram Tarang Centurion University. We opened the first RPTO, Remote Pilot Training Organization in Odisha. So the RPTO is currently functional in Parlakamundi, Gajapati. And we plan to open 2 more RPTOs, one in Balangir, another one in Bhubaneswar. And our plan for the next 3 months is to train at least 1,000 drone pilots in the state of Odisha. Thank you.
Any other suggestions? Just one last minute.
Just a quick one. I think Odisha is located at a place where there is Paradip port. There is opportunities where we can expand, go offshore as well. And drones have proven themselves to be useful in these locations. Obviously, great suggestions on the testing sites, and similar models are being replicated state-wise. We ourselves as a company have tied up with Government Polytechnic. We are one of the companies who is doing this mapping work at scale, doing digitization work at scale, and you need massive amount of manpower in order to do that. So that's the submission.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'll invite Regu ji from Odisha government to introduce sir, and then request sir to make few remarks.
Thank you, Smith. I would like to, on behalf of all of the audience present here and the panelists here, I would like to invite Honorable Minister Sri Prithviranjan Gadai, Minister for Skill Development and Technical Education, Government of Odisha, and Minister for Rural Development on stage. And I would like to request sir to provide us guidance on how we can take forward the drone ecosystem in Odisha. Sir.
जय जगन्नाथ समस्तों को नमस्कार friends sitting on the dais, representatives from all institutions, polytechnics, ITIs, corporate sector, media persons, my principal secretary over here, DTET is here. So today is the final day. So first of all, let me know the experts from drone industry. What is your view about this program, the Skill Conclave 2023? It's the first of its kind in India?
Absolutely. So I've actually been to a couple, but the kind of scale and the infrastructure and the way it's organized, I think it's the most professional skilling event I've ever been to in the country. So kudos to the entire government to do.
So I request to thank our Honorable Chief Minister, our visionary leader, under whose leadership we did this program. My Principal Secretary, DTT, and all the department members, thanks to them. Their relentless effort in making this program successful. And so people like you, who are expert in your field, your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, your vision. The objective of this program is all about this, to guide the state in our vision planning, because our state is in a transformation mode in the field of agriculture technology, science, sports, service industry, manufacturing sector, everything, mining sector, which you was talking about. Apart from this, there is huge stride you're observing in the, because all our youth were sitting over here. In the field of, not only in politics, not only in sports, in innovations, creativity, technology, environment sustainability, leveraging disruptive technologies. This changing scenario has led to this, a conclave, to organize a conclave like this, where we have to march as per the market requirement. This is a market-driven economy. The main objective is to encash the human capital and the intellectual property. Now technology is with you. Every day, as Mr. Chirag said, every day swiftly things are changing, very fast it's changing. So we have to adapt the latest technology and to skill our youth of our state. So Odisha has taken the lead in this area, skilling the youth, giving a message to the entire globe, entire nation. In the coming days, entire nation, entire globe, I think you must agree to that, they will depend on Odisha for skilled manpower. Honorable Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik's leadership has given this clear vision. It was a clarion call by our government under the leadership of our Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik. And this is the need of the hour. When investments are pouring in the manufacturing sector, service sector, education sector, the time has come. We have to fulfill the requirement of the market. And the gap between the employer and the employees, no doubt the gap needs to be minimized. So the main objective of bringing everybody together in this Skill Conclave platform, because Skill Council members, I think, few of the members, I think, present over here. So we need a lot of deliberations more with all the Skill Council members, lot more to do. So drone technologies, all policymakers, corporate houses. So this is just the beginning, I think. Odisha has taken the lead. You will all witness that other states definitely will follow this type of skill conclave very soon, where people like you will be invited throughout the globe. So friends, definitely, again I request, I seek everybody's cooperation in this field, your guidance, your support, because our department, Skill Development and Technical Education, under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, will be waiting for your guidance and support in this field. So in coming days, definitely, Odisha's skill manpower become the pride of the nation, when our Chief Minister's quote is definitely people will ask, either you are only skilled or skilled in Odisha. Now it's a global brand. So thank you very much. Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the most important statement was, are you skilled or are you skilled in Odisha? I mean, that shows the confidence and the bold vision that the state has, especially on the skill development side. So just to come back on our thought process on the skill development side. So the drone ecosystem, as you see, has seen a lot of recent reforms. And after these reforms, we started thinking, okay, we have a lot of reforms. How do we go about skill development, and what is the plan, and what are the thought process, and where all skill development is required? So let's map the entire ecosystem of the drone product. So the journey is, first the drone has to be made, manufactured. So there are skill requirements in designing, where there is aerostructures, mechanical and other material related parts. Then you need to have embedded systems or electrical systems, so there is electronics involved. And then you need programming, so there is some computer science and IT related skills required. So first we are building the product. So these are the various facets required. Of course, I'll give my panelists the opportunity to highlight a little more on this as well. Then you have the product built. The purpose of the drone is to fly. For flying, basically you need to be trained. So there is a operations and flying training, that is the second aspect. Now the purpose of the drone is to fly, capture a lot of data, and then something has to be done on this data. So that is the third aspect, which is data processing, data analytics. So that's the third aspect of skilling. And then of course, sometimes these drones might break down, they may need maintenance, there is a repair requirement. So that takes care. And lastly, when you have so much data, you need to finally take decisions on that, so which is where the intersect between subject matter expertise. So there is a requirement of a mining expert who can also understand the drone data and then do various analytics on that. So there is assembly, design, assembly, manufacturing, one aspect, drone operations, second aspect, then the data capturing, data processing, third aspect, data analytics and insights in that, and maintenance, repair, and all of those. These are the broad aspects. So I'll come back and give my fellow panelists an opportunity to highlight a little bit more on what they're doing and probably give a few insights to what the state can be doing. So just continuing from the seat there. So we have a host of panelists with us. So we have Pankaj from Paras Aerospace, who is a manufacturer. Then we have Mr. Infant Joseph, who is representing Zupa Drones. He is another manufacturer. So first, let's hear from the manufacturer that when they want to go about designing a drone, and then when they want to hire people around it, so what kind of skills are they requiring? So to Pankaj first, and then Mr. Infant, maybe in a couple of minutes, you could first identify what you are doing as a business, what your focus areas are, and then what kind of people you are looking for. So Pankaj first, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Smith. So just to start with, I would like to give a brief introduction of our company. So we are part of the Paras Defense Company. We are a listed corporation. We are more than 30 years into defense, space and aerospace manufacturing. So the type of products that we manufacture, we range all the way from Pinaka rocket systems. Then we manufacture hyperspectral cameras for the Indian Space Research Organization. We also do a lot of battle tank applications, battle tank manufacturing. Then we also, the last contract that we had got was to manufacture the submarine periscope for one of the most strategic class Indian submarines. And added to that, we have started the drone vertical, which is headed by me. So I work primarily in the government. I was both with Ministry of S&T and DRDO. So with that expertise, we have started Paras Aerospace to manufacture drones all the way from 250 grams until 5 tons, variety of aircraft. And I also have an additional designation of being an associate professor at a CSIR university. So I handle both scientific research as well as teaching. So maybe there are some requirements which I could mention here. But what is the opportunity size? What are we looking at? And how is that skilling very important at this particular point of time? As a company, we also have 5 global offices. We work from US, Canada, Singapore, Israel, and South Korea. So what is the difference and what is the challenge when I'm operating out of my Singapore office and Tel Aviv office? Where we get the projects, the biggest challenge, the projects when we are executing there is the manpower. Israel, like a country, is a population of only 80 lakhs. It's like half of my, I stay in Navi Mumbai, like it's half of Navi Mumbai, the complete country. And anytime we get an R&D project, it is really hard to find manpower, really hard. And the ones who are left over there, they are going to charge us exorbitantly huge prices for the skill levels that we have in India are at par. We are nowhere inferior in any certain cases at the particular levels. It could be ITI, diploma, BTech, MTech or a PhD. Nowhere our skill levels are inferior. I come from IIT Kanpur. I have graduated from IIT Kanpur and I have seen the technology. I'm a mentor there. I'm a placement coordinator, counseling service coordinator. I do a lot of incubation mentorship over there. So I have seen through these cycles and working across 5 global offices, what we have realized, the big opportunity that India has today is our manpower. It is only the proper industry academia interconnect. Like if you talk about the IITs, what is the real big difference is that it is the same person who is going from the same city, the same building to one to the IIT, the other to the same. Is there any real big difference? Nothing. There is only the skilling and the industry connect that has to be properly established. That if it is done using the ITI and Polytechnic infrastructure, we could be very, much successful for all the global projects. Just to start on the drones, like the revolution that has happened, I'll take you to the time when we were in the time of 1996, 97, where there was a revolution in the Indian IT services sector. So similar phase we are going through the Indian manufacturing revolution. So there are going to be a lot of requirement of skilled manpower across various disciplines of engineering, not just aerospace. For a drone, the fortunate thing is anybody, electronics, electrical or any type of mechanical, it's very famous. I was an aircraft system director for one of the very large Indian aircraft project. So we very famously say that in airspace, A to Z of all technical disciplines are covered. So there is opportunity for everyone, right from software until electronics, electrical, mechanical. So this is one particular field where there is no limitation on whatever, discipline that the trained or skilled manpower is coming from. So this is one industry which will be encouraging, or there won't be any bar. Even if you look at our job postings, it would be any branch of engineering. That's a typical posting that we do. Okay, now coming to the factory, what happens and what is it that we require, or what could be the best, though I will not take too much of time, but I will just try to conclude here. What is it that at factory level we are having? We are operating 3 very large factories in Bombay with more than 1,000 employees in each space. So we have been doing this for the last 30 years. Now the drone vertical has started, and we have more than 200 people who are addressing both the domestic and more primarily the international requirements. So all the international certifying agencies or the customers from the international companies do visit our factories. And I would say, the technical skilling level, as such, more or less every technical institute is going to train them. So what I feel one addition that could be done is the possibility of having either a center of excellence from the company in your campuses, or allowing your students to come for an internship, make internship of, let's say, 1 month or 2 month mandatory for all your skill training, gives a lot of value add. What is the gap between an unplaced student and the student who is well placed is only that they have a little bit of industry awareness, and that small gap puts them well ahead of the curve when they are going for placements. So if you are able to address this one particular challenge as to how do you get the industry expectations right into the candidates, what do you say, development or the skilling set, if it is somehow imparted in the last 2 months of the course, let's say if it is 6 months and the last 2 months are given for the full-fledged industrial manufacturing training, then their chances of better and more higher package will be very large. So that's in very short from me, and I request Smith to take it forward.
So we heard from Mumbai-based company with global presence that they have 200 plus engineers looking at engineers or technical people from across all streams. Let's now move to Mr. Infant, whose company is based out of Chennai. You can briefly introduce about what you're doing and then what kind of people are you looking for right now. We'll also come to the gap and what can be done in the later part of the conversation.
Hello. Hello. So I am Joseph Infant. I am representing the company Sogen, and we are based out of Chennai. And we are the people manufacturing end-to-end technology. Because our partner Zupa is a 7 years old company. They were into telematics and IoT platform. As far as drone is concerned, market is really huge. There is no doubt. But most of the companies certain PCB module and the embedded software, we are totally dependent on foreign countries. Because especially in the heart of the drone, which is autopilot. So very few company in India is manufacturing those kind of autopilot. So because when you take these applications to armed forces, they look for Indian autopilot because of the high data security. So now what we try to say is think globally and act locally, because we need to encourage students how to develop the technology in-house instead of say for example take this example we have our own telemetry system which is used in drones. So this is we develop on our own. So when we need people who can develop the technology on their own, because we have a proprietary technology which is called a DPCC. So based on this architecture, we have developed our own autopilot. So and moreover, when you talk about the product line, we don't have any high-end or heavyweight drones. We are into micro category, and which is certified very recently, type certified. And now the product is available for RPTO, they can train students and with a lot of RPTO which are coming up. And if you talk about the production, we have got 40 plus members currently, and with that capacity, we could make at least 75 drones in a month. And look at the market, and we plan to increase our production volume. For that, we need people in every area. Say for example, even though if you take production unit, we need to have a ERP guy, we need to have a assembly guy, and this quality system, and indoor flying. So if you take each and every area, we need a lot of manpower requirement. So currently we don't get people on it because everybody comes as a fresher. And wherein in-house we are teaching them what is drone, what are the electronics available, how it's being designed. So those things we find a little gap, the student is not ready for the market. So what we try to emphasize is, we can use drone or we can utilize drone in the school level or in the college and polytechnic, so that people will understand what is drone, what are the components available, how does it function, what are the technology involved. So that will help you to learn much about it instead of coming to the industry and learning things. So these are the areas where we find we need to have a lot of people. At the same time, we are ready to approach all the colleges, especially in Tamil Nadu. We ourselves approach all the colleges, especially engineering colleges with the aeronautical and mechanical and electronics department. And we give them voluntary, we approach them and give them training and explain and giving them orientation, everything. But that too sometimes they are very, give a lot of excuse, exam is going on, seminar, so many things. So when we need to invite these kind of industry people when they are willing to come down for a training and kind of orientation. This will help you students a lot. But when we do this kind of things, the students are really welcome. because they are so close and they ask a lot of questions. They are so enthusiastically, participating. So that's what the two areas which we want to set up on, because as far as manufacturing is concerned, we need to have a lot of people. At the same time, we need to encourage people to develop the technology locally so that the employmentability will be within India instead of stressing on overseas country. And another thing, we try to put out the technology for students at the school and college levels, especially in ITI and polytechnic. So those the students will learn, and when they come to market with another 2 to 3 years, they'll be really good, what is to be done, what they want to achieve. So they will have a real open eye, which you cannot expect. They will give a very good idea. We have seen it practically in our assembly section. So these are two areas we want to touch upon, so that the industry will really grow, and because the more we get it more quickly to the school and institution level, that will give a lot of advantages. Thank you.
So we have manufacturers from Bombay and Chennai, sort of talking about the skill requirements. So let's introduce someone from the Odisha state itself. So we have our friend sitting in the first row, Mr. Satya, who's the CEO of Bonvi Aero. Why don't you come and join us and share your experience? Why people are talking about skilling and the people manpower requirement from outside the state? What has been your experience within the state? And we'll have him join us and talk about his experience. So Satya, why don't you share your experience specifically about what you're doing, short, and then about the kind of people that you are engaging with, what type of people you require in the team. And I introduce him purposely so that after the session, after today, if you have a lot of questions, you have a person within the state directly available. So it will not give any of you an opportunity to complain that, okay, people came from outside the state and they gave some gyan and went away. So we have someone in the state also. So he is your bakra, as we say.
Thanks, Meet. Thanks for inviting me in the stage. Bonvi is building aerial mobility, ecosystem, and we are saying that if there is an unstructured form of transportation and that exists anywhere today, so Bonvi can go and form a structured form of transportation in a very shortest time. So just to give you example, unstructured form of transportation exists in hilly areas, in areas where you see a natural disaster or any calamity happens, then your existing infrastructure is no more available. But then to convert that into a structured form of transportation, we see that this technology can be deployed at the shortest possible time. The time advantage that the drones do have. But at large also, Bonvi has, Bonvi is building moonshot project, and it's aiming very high. It wants to get into people transportation, emergency evacuations, and medical casualty evacuation into those areas. But again, it requires somewhere to start, and where we have started is a 50 kg lifting ability drone. So the payload capacity is 50 kg, and this can go 10 kilometer distance. So maximum is up to 40 kilometer, but what we have been able to commercialize right now is a 10 kilometer distance drone, and which is what you saw our Honorable Chief Minister not only just launched, but flown the vehicle as well, right? So I'll tell you a little bit, as in I was out of Odisha for 17 years, and I studied from BITS Pilani. Since then, I was not in Odisha. When I returned in 2021 here, I just came to set up kind of a testing facility for us, and I thought that maybe manufacturing is something that we will design, development and manufacturing, those we will explore, but let that unit be in Bangalore initially. But after coming and interacting with the ecosystem, I saw that there are many things that is possible here, and what the prototypes that we have built is fully built in Odisha. So these days I say, make in Odisha, made for the world. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Satya. We heard about the manufacturing requirements and the experience. Now let's go to people who are actually doing the skilling part. So first, we have Mr. Venkat, who's from the state. He is running a remote pilot training organization that is a drone school that is equivalent to a driving school. So I'll introduce Mr. Venkat to talk about his experience. What are you doing right now and what are you looking at from the skilling aspect, and especially I think you have a core focus on agriculture as well. So maybe you want to give that a little bit more emphasis.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am Venkat, Managing Director, Gram Tarang. Gram Tarang is a agri fintech company, and Gram Tarang is actually a social enterprise of Centurion University. Okay. Our university is the first skills university in Odisha, and we are also a state private university. Okay. Now, Gram Tarang, we are basically into fintech, and we got into agri-tech just last year. We are active in this space, and we work with General Aeronautics Private Limited. We basically use their drones. So in agri-tech, we basically started a agriculture drone cluster in Bargarh district. So basically, agriculture drone cluster is a 2 BHK, 3 BHK house, which we take on rent. And there we deploy 5 to 6 drone pilots, and then a supervisor. And then we deploy drones as well. And then we offer spraying services. So based on our experience in Bargarh, we started 25 drone clusters across 6 states of India. So currently we are operational in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and MP, Madhya Pradesh also. So the response is very good. As Smith rightly pointed out, if you want to spray agrochemicals in a 1 acre land, it will take you 4 to 5 hours time. But if you use drone, it will take you just 5 to 6 minutes. Okay. So it will benefit farmers immensely. And our mother campus, Centurion University mother campus, is in Parlakamudi. Parlakamudi is part of Gajapati district, one of the most backward districts in Odisha. And in Gajapati district, under our School of Agriculture, we have close to 300 acres of agriculture land. And in that land, we find it very difficult to get labor to offer spraying services. Okay. So now, for the past 1 year, we are using drones, and then we are offering spraying services. So based on our last 8 months experience, we have opened RPTO. So somebody inquired about what is RPTO. See, if you want a driving license, you go to RTO, right? Similarly, if you want a license to fly drones, you have to go to RPTO. You will basically undergo a 6 days training program, and then you will get a license from DGCA. Okay. So Centurion University opened first RPTO in Parlakamudi. And as we speak, we are training a lot of pilots there. And we want to open 2 more RPTOs, one in Balangir and one in Bhubaneswar in the next 1 month. Now the reason why we want to open 2 more RPTOs is, in the coming Kharif season, we want to open 250 drone clusters. So we'll be deploying around 1,000 drone pilots across 10 states of India. All these pilots, 1,000 drone pilots, they will be skilled in Odisha. They'll come to Odisha, they'll stay in our campuses, they'll undergo training in Odisha, and then they'll be deployed back to their respective clusters. Okay. And a madam is here. See, we are working very closely with Department of Agriculture, Government of Odisha. We have done drone demos across all districts of Odisha. We participated in all Krishi Melas, which were held by Government of Odisha. And most importantly, very important point, we have signed MOU with Odisha government, and probably from next month onwards, if you people want to purchase our drones, you will get it at subsidized rates. So under SMAM scheme, a farmer willing to purchase a drone can get up to 5 lakh subsidy. And similarly, an FPO or a PAX willing to purchase a drone can get up to 7.5 lakh subsidy. Okay. So we are the first organization to sign MOU with Odisha government. And one more thing, there are very few state governments which are willing to offer these subsidies. Very few, hardly 3 to 4. And Odisha government is one of those governments which is actually willing to provide subsidy for the purchase of drones. It's very commendable. And uh, Smith mentioned about skilling. Now, currently we have around 100 drone pilots working with us across 25 clusters. And in the entire country, as on today, there are only 4,000 certified pilots, drone pilots. And there is a lot of poaching happening. Now to retain the pilots, okay, from our university, we are launching a learn and earn initiative, okay, to show career path to all the pilots. Okay, we are launching this initiative from coming June onwards. So a pilot who is ITI pass, okay, he can work with us. Parallelly, he can pursue diploma in drone technology in our university. Okay, he'll pursue a 2 years diploma. Similarly, a pilot who is +2 pass and a diploma, okay, he can pursue a BTech or a BBA in agribusiness. Okay. Similarly, our supervisors, most of them are graduates. So the graduates, they can pursue MTech or MBA in agribusiness. So this way, we want to retain them for a longer period, and we also want to provide them a degree at the end of the course. So that's it from my side. And one more last point. As I said, Gram Tarang is basically a fintech company. We got into agri-tech just last 1 year ago. So we basically work as a business correspondent for all major banks in India. SBI, Canara Bank, Union Bank of India, and many Grameen banks are our partner banks. Gram Tarang's partner banks. And we deploy close to 5,000 bank mitras across India. So if any of you wants to purchase a loan, purchase a drone, so we can help you with the loan. Okay. So there is this Government of India scheme called Agri Infra Fund. Okay. So once you avail drone subsidy, okay, so we will help you with the proposal, with the DPR, and we will enable you to avail loan from these nationalized banks at 6% interest rate. We already started doing this, and if any of you wants to purchase a drone, you please approach us, we'll help you. So thank you very much.
So this example of subsidy, I'll just iterate. For example, let's say agriculture drone cost 10 lakh rupees. Under the state government, depending on which state government, you will get either a subsidy of 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs. Let's assume as of now 5 lakhs as Venkat mentioned. So out of 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs gone, government will give as subsidy. The rest of the 5 lakhs, you get a loan at 6% interest. So in this loan, basically you only need to pay upfront 10% of the loan amount. Typically that's the rule. So out of the 5 lakhs, you are just paying 10%, which is about 50,000 rupees. These are just typical numbers. Changes depending on the bank. So for a 10 lakh rupee drone, when you want to procure the drone, the upfront cost is 50,000 rupees. So that's the kind of support that center and state together are coming together to sort of, bring about the revolution of this technology in the agriculture side.
And to avail the drone loan, there are 2 prerequisites. One is a drone pilot certificate. So you need to get a certificate from authorized, an RPTO, and then you should have a good CIBIL score. That's about it. Banks are more than willing to give loans. There is a pressure from RBI to extend loans. Okay. So anybody willing to purchase a loan, we can easily facilitate.
No, it's credit guarantee interest subvented scheme. So it is usually fixed interest rate.
So the rate of interest is basically 9%. Based on your repayment, you will get a 3% subvention every quarter. So technically you are paying only 6% rate of interest. Okay. This is a part of Agri Infra Fund, Government of India scheme.
So lastly, we come to Mr. Chirag Sharma, who's the CEO of Drone Destination. They run drone training schools across the country and a wide variety of other courses as well. So Chirag, I'll just request you to slightly highlight more than, so of course you talk about what you're doing and the drone training aspect, but also about the other courses apart from the flying training on what all is required, what all can be done, a few thoughts on that.
Thanks, Smith. Yeah. So thank you, Pari Madam and Regu sir, for inviting us here at the Conclave. So my name is Chirag. I'm the CEO of Drone Destination, CEO and founder for Drone Destination, and we have another company called Hubblefly, which manufactures drones as well. As Drone Destination, currently we run the largest network of DGC authorized training schools across the country. We're present in about 11 cities. So out of those 4,000 pilots, some 1,500 plus pilots have been trained, with our, through our network of training, centers across the country. We started India's first drone training site in Manesar, Gurgaon with very reputed. So, we had Mr. Chokyal from RGNU here. So, IGRUA was our first drone training partner. IGRUA, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, which is the only flight training organization under Ministry of Civil Aviation. So, with IGRUA, we run 6 centers, and in the new drone rules we opened up, we became the first drone training organization, or an RPTO in this essence. We also conduct drone instructor courses in addition to drone pilot training. So in fact, Venkat's Centurion just trained, I think, some 6 instructors with us at our Manesar site right now. So we run train the trainer programs as well. And in addition to, just focusing on the DGC authorized training, like Smith mentioned, we run a suite of service, application-based training modules as well. And that comes from the fact that apart from training, we're also into drone services. So we have about 50 plus teams of pilots and co-pilots currently doing survey mapping under the Swamitwa scheme. So, everything that we have gained from our on-ground experience in terms of be it mapping, and we're, soon starting our agricultural spray service as well. So we're picking up the right SOPs from the field and have created specialized curriculum, because honestly, we foresee that this certified license training is going to get commoditized in some time. It's going to be like just any other license. But the value add of that individual who's going to get deployed in the market will come from specialized programs. And that's what we run. So we've trained more than 200 plus people, in the last 2 months from various agri universities like ICR, KVKs, who came on board and did the agriculture spray training with us. We've trained officials from Survey of India, from National Institute of Defense State Management, and several other folks who are within the GIS space. So they're coming in doing the agriculture survey drone operator course with us. We incidentally became the first drone training partner with NSDC, and we have our course, outside of the NSQF framework. NSDC and us, together we do joint certification through their Skill India platform for these application-based courses also, which is outside the purview of a DGCA authorized training network. And yes, the need of the hour would be application-based courses, and for us, we're not someone who just builds something theoretically. So we've picked on certain services which, that we will focus as a company, and having gained on-ground experience from those services that we're executing. We're talking to our JIS team, we're talking to people who set up, DGPS, base stations. So like Smith mentioned, operating a drone or piloting a drone is only one aspect. There are many things that happen pre and post. So, making sure that the right person is there who's doing the quality check, or, at least doing a pre-flight check in terms of whether the drone is in a flying condition. Once the operation is done, apart from our pilots, we also have field technicians, who are capable of maintaining the drone. So, just to add, what Pankaj also mentioned, I think one of the, another skill set that we would need apart from just a drone pilot would also be these technicians who would be available on the field, because a drone service operation is a very time sensitive, job role. So in case a drone goes down, and if you have a manufacturer sitting in Bangalore or, Gurgaon, and then you have a service that you have to execute, within a 24-hour window. So imagine if the drone goes down and you've purchased it from somebody else. The time it takes to send the drone back, get it maintained, and bring it back. So like he mentioned, there will be a need of the hour when we develop hubs. So we call them hubs. Currently, we are in 11 hubs. We intend to get to about 150 such hubs, where drones of different applications based on the local requirement would be kept. And apart from the certified training and application-based training, we'll have technicians, spare parts, everything available, so that the service industry in general, the end customer, does not suffer, any supply chain issues when it comes to addressing any such needs during the operational, capability. So one thing that I would definitely request, and when I go and visit different state governments as well, and where in fact we have onboarded about 60 plus ITI kids who are working with us right now, who started off as co-pilots. We did a similar program with Government of Himachal Pradesh. We hired tons of ITI students who are working with us as co-pilots, and some of them have got upgraded to the actual piloting roles as well. So we see this as a journey, something, but as a skill set that is still a challenge for us that we're trying to address, is these people need to love outdoors. So most youth who gets overqualified or build some skill, it wants to go and run in air-conditioned offices, right? They don't want to stay on the field. So there is one big challenge as an industry for all of us that we have to also look at, mitigating, is finding these people who love the outdoors, who can stay in the field, in the early morning, in the wee hours. We're looking at, the Agniveers maybe of the future, who do not find full-time placement, to maybe come on board and join the Indian drone force that we're all trying to make. So these are things that we're doing on our end in terms of skilling as well. And as the session progresses, we'll answer more questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Chirag. So we saw designing and manufacturing requires technical skills. Pankaj answered that, Joseph Infant answered that. We also saw operations where Chirag highlighted about various aspects on the pilot, co-pilot aspect. Also, Mr. Venkat highlighted on the agri-business and the other aspects. So of course, there is a multi-skilling requirement. Now the drone is made, it is being operated, there are services being provided, but it is also capturing a lot of data. So let's understand what happens on the data side. From Praveen, who runs a drone startup, he's also into a lot of drone data surveying services. So Praveen, why don't you highlight about after the drone has captured a lot of images, especially in the surveying aspect, what happens with the data, what kind of skill sets are required, and what are your challenges that you see when you are looking at these people?
Thank you, Smith. So everything that drones are solving today is optimization. It's incremental, upgradation over existing technologies. Be it agriculture, be it construction, be it mining. We are just making those processes much faster, much efficient, right? So the entire ecosystem is working together in order to meet a common vision of making India a drone hub globally by 2030. In that, I think the most important part or the adoption will come only when the industry start accepting drones as a viable solution. And government has stepped in quite a bit for that. So as my friends on the panel have said, that a lot of drones are being operated. We are a company that is also in the process of map digitization and creation of these land bases. And in last 4 months, our team has quadrupled, like from a very small team. The numbers are not huge, but still it's a 4x jump in last 4 to 5 months. And that goes to show that there is more and more acceptability that is coming. The challenges that we feel is we are just taking people from the same sector. So for example, we talked about data processing. This is a field called GIS, Geographic Information System, which is a decade-old field, and there are a lot of trained people out there. But how do we make them adapt to the newer technology? How do they understand the nuances of this? So I think Chirag mentioned that application-wise training courses are going to help a lot in that. And in our little initiatives, as I mentioned earlier, we are also trying to talk to various institutions whereby we can do these hands-on courses, probably a 3-month-long courses than just training courses. So it's a lot to do with the technology, understanding computing, understanding geographic information systems, and then creating analytics out of it. Another good example would be, I mentioned that we have Paradeep Port here, a lot of pipelines that are coming out. I think as a national vision for pipeline monitoring, nobody is going to physically visit those pipeline. There is already a PIDS, pipeline intrusion detection systems, that all pipelines are getting installed with. And drones with their high resolution data and onboard sensors will be able to add value to these PIDS systems. Right now, when an annunciation comes from those PIDs, somebody has to arrange a vehicle, arrange a person and drive down to that location to see, because losing as critical asset is going to be very difficult. So person literally visits. With the drones, it would be possible that automatically there is some trigger that has come, you launch it, and that is what data analytics and advance, and we are already in the AI age. We don't have to be much behind. So we are expecting that there is a convergence point here where drone technology, computing technology, as well as artificial intelligence, machine learning is coming together to solve a common industry problem that is going to make things faster, more efficient? Thank you.
So we've heard all perspectives. Now let's come back to business. We are all in Odisha. What can be done in Odisha? And how can we work with the state to ensure that drone technology is proliferated? People here are skilled, and then they can participate in this national and global sort of drone ecosystem. I'll summarize a few points, and then I'll request all of my panelists to add to this on what can be done in Odisha. Are there any learnings from your experience, both domestically, internationally as well, on what more can be done specifically as an action item in the state? And then we open up to questions. So few suggestions from my side. Of course, a drone park, as someone suggested, can be created to ensure that the startups, especially in the drone segment, can be brought together. A dedicated drone testing infrastructure can be created. This something like a drone park or testing infrastructure. We already signed a MOU. Sure. So drone park is basically a dedicated space with common facilities where drone startups, for example, we have Venkat from Gram Tarang, and we have Satya, and I'm sure there will be a lot of other fellow entrepreneurs here as well. A lot of them would require collaboration with each other, learnings from each other. So Satya is building a drone, Venkat is doing skilling. Of course, when Satya looks at more than one product as well, he's making a very big drone right now, but he may also want to make a few smaller drones. There are other people as well. So these people need to work with each other so that this entire ecosystem gets accelerated. So they need to be almost co-located at a common space with common facilities like design, simulation and modeling facilities. Or they require a lot of designing softwares and all, but it is not required 24/7. So can it be a shared infrastructure that they can all contribute towards, co-located at a single location? Can they have certain office spaces or certain incubation set up together so that they can collaborate very actively? And of course, the intervention of the state with those startups will actually ensure that. Right now, we all took an example of Odisha Mining Corporation using drones in a very large way. But is the full potential being explored? Are there other smaller setups where drones are not being used? Is there oil and gas and other sort of examples where drones need to be used? It will be very easy for the people from the department to just walk up to this particular drone park or this small cluster, talk to these drone startups, do certain POCs, and then look at a larger sort of roadmap. We have the Paradeep port that you were mentioning. So there is a lot of use case of ship-to-shore logistics as well that drones can solve. Right now, a ship comes in, then a smaller boat has to go to the shore, and then that entire activity takes a lot of time. Plus, a lot of coordination is required. When you want to exchange certain small rations, supplies, and certain documents, you just send a drone. Why do you need to man a ship and then send 2-3 people in the ship and do that? A drone will do it in about 10 to 12 minutes of time. So these are use cases that will very well be explored, and people working together at a particular geography with certain common infrastructures will also be helping. So that's the drone park that we are mentioning. When we talk about the drone testing infrastructure, that's slightly more than that. Of course, the drone can be designed in an office space and can use facilities in a lab, but it has to fly, and it has to fly across various airspaces. So there is a requirement of an open area with maybe a small ground or a helipad like a sort of road. So can the drone park and the testing infrastructure be co-located so that they can make the drone, do prototyping, but then also take off and fly for a particular area? So there may be certain areas, maybe half an hour, 1 hour or 1.5 hours away from Bhubaneswar, maybe, just an example, where population slightly is low, the infrastructure is not, so it requires an open area basically. So some forest area, maybe, we talked about one district, Dhenkanal, which is I think 1.5 hours away from here, could be one of the examples. So that's the drone park and the drone testing infrastructure. Then I think 2 things that need to be done very actively, and that is going to bust all myths. Drone sensitization presentations by the industry to all departments. It is not going to be very harmful for the various departments and the various engineering and technical institutes to know what all are the possibilities in drones. Whether the department chooses to pursue it or not is okay, but all the possibilities can be sort of taken forward. So we have just seen some examples, but can we have these workshops where the startups can present it to the department. Drone assembly workshops, I think every technical institute, polytechnic should stop discouraging people from just assembling a drone. I think everyone should just do a workshop and then just discourage ki assembling a drone is basics. Moment people start talking about making a drone, assembling a drone, everyone should have a workshop and then motivate students to think beyond that. I think assembling a drone has become so basic that it should no longer be considered as a good to have, it should just be a basic. So we invite a lot of institutes to participate in such a network of workshops. Maybe a lot of you can take drone kits, go sensitize all the students, and then that opens up the entire horizon and students start thinking beyond making a simple drone and start thinking about detailed technical aspects of the drone. Certain elective courses can be thought of. So while it may be very difficult for changing the entire curriculum and bringing large scale 2-year, 3-year programs, of course it will take some time. So better to introduce elective courses. 1 semester elective course on drone technology from mechanical aspect, electrical, electronics aspect, computer science aspect, which focuses on programming, aerospace engineering if it is there, then that aspect. Further, we can pursue diploma courses, which can be a 1-year, 2-year program, much more in detail. It will take time, so we can have quick wins by having elective courses. And lastly, we should definitely have some industry academia partnerships for the engineering, masters, PhD type of programs where the number of students will be very low, but they can very hand-in-hand work with the industry and the startups so that the students are working on very realistic problem statements and also helping with the research to the startups so that that research can translate to product and then that product can be commercialized. So I think few of the examples of how infrastructure can be built, sensitization and basic workshops can be done, elective and diploma courses can be taken up. So this will actually help create an entire ecosystem of startups, skilling and detailed technical research as well, and that will all work hand in hand to develop the entire ecosystem in Odisha. I'll just request all my friends to maybe add on to this specifically on idea or interventions that you feel can help in the state. I'm sure I covered a lot of generic ideas, but if you have anything specific. So from that side, maybe Venkat, you can start and then we go across the table.
So many companies are selling drones and then the after sales service is a major issue. Okay. So these companies are located in metros, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, and if you want to get your drone serviced or repaired, it's a challenge. So opening drone hangars is very, very important. So we opened a drone hangar in one of our university campuses, and going forward, we want to set up drone hangars in all our 6 campuses across Odisha. So this should be thought about seriously.
Yeah, thank you. Just adding to what Smith said, and Smith, I think this is something maybe we could deliberate. So, having traveled across different countries when we were looking at the UAV ecosystem, we realized, India has largely been a service-oriented country, right? We've never been an R&D manufacturing-oriented nation. And in one of my trips to China a couple of years ago, it was very interesting to see that there are cities which only manufacture a certain part of, so I visited a particular city that only makes lamps. There's a city that only is making, toys of a particular thing. So I think Odisha in general, the way I'm seeing, the innovation that's happening around here, and the state government genuinely wants to contribute towards Industry 4.0. One of the things could be if we can request the government and maybe we can decide a proposal, is there, as an industry, we are falling short on subcomponent or component level manufacturing. Is there a particular component that maybe, government of Odisha could pick up? We're short of motors, we're short of avionics, ESCs. Is there something where the government could push and say, look, let Odisha make X component, Y component, and let's have a China alternate for the world as well. Maybe that's something that we could, internally deliberate, and if the government is willing to fund it. Largely when we talk about the drone park, so, we're interacting with Maharashtra, so there's a think tank in Maharashtra that's trying to create a drone cluster as well, where most startups, commonly the issue that they face is the issue of supply chain, the issue of, indigenized manufacturing. And there are proposals being kept in front of the right stakeholders to put money behind machinery. So we're talking of, CNC machines, we're talking of different, different machinery that's basically not readily available. We're talking of raw material production and other things. But so maybe, like I said, if we pick up a particular component, don't get ourselves distracted too much and perhaps start manufacturing that for the country and for the rest of the world. I think that's going to be a great shift. Or probably a request that I have as well. Yeah.
So with regard to the skilling and our international observations or our learnings what we have, one simple thing that could be done for the graduates or the students to be globally employable is that if these ITIs and polytechnics are doing so much, if you could get an accreditation from an international skilling institute, they immediately get employable in across the Asia Pacific, Australia. You get you have this accredited degree with a 2 year of experience. You are going to get your lifestyle. I'll give an example from the state of Kerala. You go to Dubai, you go to US, you go to Canada. The state had taken the skilling of paramedics and nurses very effectively. Okay, across the globe, you will be finding this skilled manpower. The same way, if you are taking this complete across all your disciplines, just with this just one gap, what is the thing? And that accreditation does not take you much of a time or anything. We have everything. We are all government sponsored. It only is a very few set of clearly laid out policies and a framework that you need to get set everything in order, and they accredit you with the global standards, with the global vocational records, and the candidates can be globally employable. Added to that, just one point on the drone park. So the drone park initiative, ma'am, just to add to what is required in a drone park from a manufacturing or a company point of view is, you can take the example, there are few other states who have started such drone parks, I could take, it is exactly not a drone park, but a common infrastructure for manufacturing, like the T-Works in Telangana, where in one particular building, you have got all the machines end to end which can manufacture the components of a drone. See, for a new startup, if you have to go through a CNC, if you have to go through a laser cut, if you have to go to this thing, each of these machines costs you a few crores of rupees and sometimes even more than 10 crores. Really, the talent is there with us. What is not there in the private industries, I come from the Ministry of Defense. I worked in DRDO. We have thousands of crores of infrastructure, but there is a very restricted access to this technology. But if you want to grow the industry, if these facilities can be made common, you can be creating many more companies. And last but not the least, a very small example of how this upskilling or a very recent, very unique experience what we had. We were developing for one of the this is a very advanced flight control system for one of our international project what we have received. Then through a particular reference, we got that, okay, there is a particular scientist sitting who has graduated from Georgia Tech, and we will be, and the consultancy charged us some money to get there. And we went to that project. When we sat for the meeting and we had the first call, we just realized that he was from Bangalore. He was sitting in Bangalore, and the company charged us for a consultancy which was supposed to be a US-based company. So already this, life cycle of skilling, and already we are there in places. It's only the small gaps that if we are able to fill it up in the proper time, we can make really huge leaps. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
To Praveen and others, I will request you to keep your suggestion short so that we can have time for questions. So one thing that you feel we should do in the state of Odisha that can actually help build the drone ecosystem and the skilling ecosystem around drones here.
I think most of the points are covered. As you said, one line, if I have to say, around the drone park, it should be a testing site with a runway. Ideally, a small airport which is not in use today, which is outside, could be considered for testing. Obviously, there are models available for shared infrastructure, but in US, there are about 7 to 8 designated sites with runway with all the facilities that you need to conduct a world-class drone testing, which somebody can, get all the feedback. How was the weather? What was my flying speed? Obviously, we are getting all the flight controller data, but what about the environments that we are flying? How do we build the most robust drones out there? So that's just a short suggestion. Yes, in India, zero. It's just our jugards that are working.
We don't have a testing site right now, dedicated testing site in India.
We are hoping, ma'am.
Yeah, one suggestion from our end is like, being a IDDM, most of our components are, locally made. That is 60 to 70% of the drone components. What we use in our, drone is locally made. Thing is like, the canopy and the telemetry system. So this all design is ours because it's being getting done, either in Chennai or in Bangalore. So what we can do is like, similarly, like, there are a lot of manufacturers who got expertise on the same area in, Odisha also. So we can, make a NDA and, they can start developing the product so that, the competition will be more, so the price will come down, so that the opportunity will also grow. So this is the one point, I could suggest. Thank you.
Satya, you have the last word. So your suggestions will have to be very detailed and unique.
Just give me, but allow me some time because I have some practical experiences with the state, and I really want to make those points out. I'll also summarize this a bit. I'll tell you this experience is coming from 2015 to 18 is what I was continuously traveling to China, Shenzhen, and understanding their ecosystem. My practical understanding is it's not great, as in people are just doing what we call in India a jugaad, and most of their thing is, most of the equipment to the company is given by the government, and the company is running, and there is a test center immediately next to their office. But what I had seen in Dubai in the DTech center was something that I have I've really liked, and particularly their drone testing corridors and drone testing centers that they have built. And along with that, the kind of park which we are talking about, drone park, right? So drone park, in my sense, should have actually a component manufacturing, as in electrical, mechanical, and software in 3 areas that can have dedicated some machines which is people can use and do prototype. Okay, so certain machines which are not affordable by individual startups, but people can come and do use that drone park for that. And we can talk about drone testing corridors. Drone testing corridors are specifically designed corridors for trials, and these are real trials that you do. It is not just test that you do, but you do, if you're doing a medicine delivery, the corridor is actually enabled with a medicine delivery. If you're doing survey, it is recreated, you have recreated that. And I see a great opportunity that exists in Odisha in coastal trials. As in, I personally experienced with other drone manufacturers, say Neil from Asteria or Samir from New Space, companies who have been manufacturing hundreds of drones, right? They are keen to come to Odisha, and if there is a such corridor for coastal corridor, they really want to come and set up some kind of those. So we need to be very attractive to larger drone industries also who are driving the ecosystem. And now, just want to say just last one thing that about component which we talked about. One component I feel, as in from my practical experience with this ecosystem, is IIT Bhubaneswar is doing good work in propellers. And propeller is like savings blade for drones. Every drone manufacturer would need a huge number of propellers. IIT Bhubaneswar is doing some research in that area. If it can be converted through the ITIs towards the manufacturing, and the ITI students can actually take up it or with the help of industry, and we can put a full-fledged propeller manufacturing industry here. I think we will definitely make a big name there. Thank you in terms of company.
Thank you so much, fellow panelists, for sharing your insight and also trying to give inputs on what can be done in the state of Odisha. Now we have about 10 to 15 minutes of questions. So one by one, if we can have a show of hands for questions from the audience side. And if you want anyone specific to answer the question, then do mention that. Otherwise, I'll take the liberty to choose who can give the answer. Sir, please.
Sir, coming to this drone
asking on the back of the screen that what should be the solution for this when I am exactly coming to the market with a new product. So when you are bringing in a new product, then probably you are already into the business and you understand the business very well. So I just want to have the entire panel to at least give us some sight so that government can really think of that is 5 years or 10 years down the line. The market is there. The way we are looking at the EV system, electronic vehicle system, the government understands yes, the market is there, then coming up with a fuel station or probably a recharging point where this can be taken up so that they are planning for that. Now coming for this drone industry, the government needs points where exactly they can plan for. Thank you.
Then you take. So just giving that EV analogy, when people started making the early EV cars, they didn't require a dedicated testing site or dedicated test facility. They just used the existing campuses and existing roads to test out early prototypes, and when the numbers started increasing, there was a need for having an institutional mechanism. If you remember some slides that I was showing, there was an India map where 90% of India was green. So as of now, as per rule, it is green zone where testing can happen, flight testing can happen across the entire country. It's just that because the drones are getting complex, they need to fly higher and longer with more sensors and more data. There is a requirement of institutionalizing this and having a dedicated infrastructure. So when our friends make smaller drones, they don't need a runway or they don't need a dedicated helipad type of environment. They can just go back in the parking lot or go to an open area and take off. But when the drones start becoming larger, they need a dedicated area to take off. When they want to fly higher and longer, they need to map the area so that in case of failure, which is a basic necessity, experiments are done so that they have to fail to ensure that drones crash during experiments and not during operations. You need a spot out area where you already know that, okay, this is the population density, this is where population is very low, it is, you know, coastal area or maybe a barren land. So that is the thought process now when drones are flying higher and at longer distances, where we need to institutionalize equipment as well as flight testing infrastructure so that the speed of this development can increase and not everyone has to set up this infrastructure, it can be a common infrastructure. That's the thought process.
I think the question is about business viability, right? I started my career in drones in 2013. I was with a government organization myself doing drone development for 3 years. And I have seen that cycle how I had unlimited amount of fund. I could do anything. But there were a lot of restriction with processes and what we could do, how we could do. So that's what forced us to form a company. And we are in our 8th year now. We'll be completing 8 years. And we are growing very slowly. What we have learned in that period of time, after all, it's a capitalist world. Nobody is going to pay you even a rupee more if his existing price is less than that, right? So you have to fit that bill. Where government has helped or where government can play a role is in subsidizing that. For example, cell tower inspection. Today, the person goes with a checklist, does blah, blah, blah. There is a very nominal cost to that. Right? And this entire telecom industry is basically built around that cost model. If I go there and if I tell them I'll charge you 5x more, but here are the additional things that you'll get, it is impossible to change that model. But there has to be a higher goal that needs to be achieved, or we have to find that. We have found a couple of use cases which we are trying to scale now. But there are many more. There are many more that people are talking about. Happy to talk more, but yeah, these are the thoughts.
So 2 examples of business viability. I did mention about agriculture and mining. Agriculture, the goal is not to spray the pesticide at the same 300 rupees that a labor gets, but it is to save life, which is where government comes in. So there is an initial subsidy period. When technology starts maturing, the cost will pay for itself. But what is the difference? Instead of 300 rupees, it is just about 400 or 450 rupees. So not 3 times or 4 times. Mining, imagine if you have to stop mining operations for 3 or 4 days versus getting the same survey done in a lunch break. I mean, it's a no-brainer for any mining operation to, save that time, have that 3 or 4 days of extra mining happening and that process to continue. And all of this now being captured in high resolution. So the data that is being captured and the decision on which, what is the primary purpose of a drone? It captures 1,000 images, then converts the images into a 3D model. Now you don't need people to sort of manually set up those towers and measure the distances or the stockpile and all. You can just click 2 points on a 3D model in the computer, and okay, what is the volume of the stockpile of the extraction, or whether the road that has been created in the mine, whether it is following all the regulatory compliances and the best practices or not. So that's the power that drone data is getting. So of course, some places there is economic viability, the industry is automatically taking off. Some places government is subsidizing, some places, as he mentioned, cell tower, it will come when the goal of the company also changes, that I don't want to do a basic survey anymore, I want to sort of go forward and do something more to sort of improve quality or something like that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question, sir.
Please.
Hi, my name is Sunil Sahu. I'm the CEO of Innotus. We are working.
Take all the question and have the last question.
Please.
My name is Sunil Sahu. I'm the CEO of Innotus. We are working in the skilling domain since last 10 years. I also worked as an expert for World Skill Competition 2022. And we use drone as a very important part in our skilling programs, because the drone is used to capture images, and then we need to analyze the images. And the World Skill Committee has recommended that we need to use DJI drones. I believe it's a Chinese brand. So fortunately this time, Mr. Abhinav Shukla, who is a fellow colleague last time, he is a skill competition manager, which is the highest post in the World Skill Competition. So my question is, can we present a case to him that our brand, our drone brand, can also be utilized in the skilling competition in the global arena, so that we can take our Indian brand into the global part. So this is one, and second thing also, we can also use our workforce, so that companies like China and Japan, those who are participating in RE, they will also use our drones.
I'll just try to analyze this question and give you a sort of corollary. So it is a question like saying, people are recommending Apple, can we use Samsung or OnePlus? All of these people are already making Samsung or OnePlus, may not be Apple. So of course, all of us, it is our collective responsibility to make that case. We will help you, manufacturers will help you by giving a very detailed technical, non-emotional sort of conversation on how our drones are meeting the basic technical criteria that is required for the skilling competitions, and how we can substitute Indian products that will be cheaper. I mean, that's it. I mean, this has to be done. There is good that you have brought up. We can discuss in detail and sort of build a proposal to whoever is required to change this recommendation. This is the non-emotional answer, taking the China angle out. We will compete technically.
That's a very good question, actually. You have to understand what is the purpose of that skill. I got an opportunity to represent India in one of the BRICS. I think World Skill had taken us there. And the problem statement there was building everything from scratch, right? And that was a different problem statement. This could be a different problem statement. The reason why they might have chosen DJI is obviously the largest drone manufacturer in the world, and they have opened up a lot of APIs that users like you and me with software and engineering experience can build applications for, which are actually going to be used in the industry practically. So that could be the reason, but yes, a suggestion can be made that this is a particular brand, and there is a lot of open source projects that are going on which will do similar sort of activities. So maybe Smith can take that up later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
GL,
Can you raise your hand? Yeah, please. Sir, I'll come to you next.
So, sir, we have got a mining branch, diploma in mining engineering actually. So how to skill the mining students regarding particular the application, because diploma students will not be interested for manufacturing actually. So, and that should have an industry linkage also. They should get job. How to do actually that?
Sir, as
skilling is required in drone technology, and simultaneously that should be industry linkage, so that they will be interested to skill there in drone technology for application for in the mine survey, particularly mine survey.
two roles that can be taken up. Either the target should be that that person will join a drone company, because drone companies are giving services of surveying, mapping mines, or that person will join a mining company to supervise the drone company, because the drone company also needs to know what the mining company also needs to know about the data and the technology that the drone company is going to give them as services. So there can be a course that can be designed. Definitely. There is a specific course that can be defined, and based on that, Chirag, you are doing something on that.
So, very valid question. In fact, this, I'll give an overarching response. When we talk about drone data, we can capture data for mines, ports, we can capture, 2D data, we can, create 3D data. So eventually what you're going to do with that drone data, because, the drone is just a vehicle, right, with different sensors. It's almost like we see it as eyes in the sky, which are now at 400 feet. And they have different capabilities. So every day you'll wake up and there'll be a new use case, a new data set that will be given to you. But unless we do something about the data, you don't actually meet the end goal. You don't get actionable insight. So to answer that question, and I think that's another recommendation we could have to the state as well, and this is something that state of Telangana has done pretty well, is create post-processing, GIS labs, which offer these courses. So like Praveen mentioned, GIS otherwise is a very, old school industry. But the way we are seeing different softwares that are coming in to process different types of data. There's RGB, there is multispectral, there is LiDAR. You're going to soon hear a buzzword called LiDAR, which is also going to play a big role in mining sector as well. So there's going to be tons of different surveys which are going to give you different types of data sets. So a skilling program around these softwares and how these students can eventually learn to process data can definitely be implemented, and we can definitely assist, on that aspect as well of developing a curriculum. And of course, if we get the infrastructure support from the government to support these, labs, because these softwares aren't cheap. I mean, each software is, it can go in a couple of lakhs of rupees, but and there are, programs and there are student education versions available of these softwares, and we can run the show and implement, the training across the ecosystem for processing different types of drone data sets.
Finally, industrial linkage, can they also require?
Of course, in Odisha, you have all the mining corporations who are actively using drones, but no one is dedicatedly trained on these technologies. So there is the exact relevance in the state and of course across the entire country as well. So the course would be something like compliance and mine management using drone data, something like this. Sir first and then Deepti, you.
Principal Ghostwater. We have a few questions. Rightly you have pointed out we should include drone education in our curriculum in Polytechnic. I want to know that there are a series of design, manufacturing, assembling, testing and post-processing of data. So which person you want to suggest in the Polytechnic curriculum? Because in ITI we have drone flying courses and drone technician. But in Polytechnic, to just suggest us which one we should include in our curriculum as an elective subject.
See, one initiative that we have taken, this is based on the research that we have. Am I audible?
Yes.
It's that as we've already discovered, there is a lot of aspects to this. When you reach that graduation stage, or when you are doing your graduation, what you want to know that where would you take your career path, right? Where do you want to do that? If somebody decides that I have interest in drone, he should have a subject which gives him overall visibility of the entire spectrum, right from what sort of history that is there, what is the regulation to operate, how does one design, analyze, how does one capture intelligence or make money out of that, and how does he basically do repair, maintenance, operations, all of that. So there has to be a longer period course which will give just 101 course to all of these things, and then later on he can choose to have a specialized course if he wishes so.
Maybe I'll just give one line answer. Maybe you can think of design and drafting as a course curriculum, but specific to drones. Yeah, maybe that will be helpful. Yeah.
That is also my suggestion that we should.
Yeah. Because drafting is one such aspect that I have seen engineers lag and
Drafting all this software we have to do.
Yeah.
So we don't look at
yeah,
those.
drafting is something that you can focus on more than the design, because once you come to the engineering level, then designs are more important. But drafting is something that definitely.
Processing also
can-
we can get up.
yeah. Right.
Excuse me. I'm Satyendra. I'm from Scientific Technologies, Indore. I would like to reply Dr. Mohanty's question. So you rightly said that the ITI is having the two courses, which is a drone technician and one is a drone piloting. And these courses are very beautifully designed. The institute approved courses are there. Why I'm telling you, because we were engaged into designing these courses, and the panelists which we mentioned about the job roles, which is different job roles are there. These courses are meeting that job roles. As far as the polytechnic is concerned, the AICT or in the government of Odisha, like SCTUT is there. So they can think on starting a one-year program in the polytechnic as well. But just to lead this drone program, you can start the drone technician course, which is very exhaustive design, and that will be very beautifully course which will be help your students to get employment.
So,
Second question, sir.
just one moment. Deepti, your question first.
My question is, how can we make the sector more inclusive from operating, maintaining and repairing drones to a panel like this where we could have more women representation, or let's say have a representation of women for the sector?
We invited 2 women for this panel. Unfortunately, they were busy today. That's the answer. We already are focusing on this. But yes, of course, like all sectors, we need to focus consciously and actively to ensure that there is a diversity amongst the participation from both the genders.
Second, sir.
Ma'am, just for your answer to your question. So as part of our company operations, the UAV, we changed the name from unmanned to uncrewed. This is globally happening. Okay, so it is no longer unmanned. We call it uncrewed aerial vehicles. So that's one of the changes that we are implementing in the organization. And we have a very active role of gender diversity, 50-50, very actively implemented in as a part of compliance metrics, and we take it very seriously. And so there are organizations, we are doing it. And yes, more awareness and more, training progress and more women pilots can do a lot of the changes to this particular aspect what you're talking. Thank you.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we'll be opening around 200 drone clusters in the coming Kharif season. So as of now, in all our clusters, they are completely manned by men. So going forward, we are planning to open women clusters, basically in Sambalpur and Bargad, and in Odisha, and in Andhra, East Godavari and West Godavari, where the cluster will be completely manned by women. Okay, they'll be basically offering spraying services, and we'll be deploying our BSc Agriculture 4th year students, in this initiative, and then slowly we'll expand. Based on the feedback, we'll expand.
Sir, can I have a question, sir? Excuse me, sir. Yeah. I'm Dr. P.K. Manthi, representing Government Polytechnic Puri as a training superintendent. My question is to the Conclave panel. In this kind of unemployment or that kind of scenario going on the country facing, so any technically qualified person, can you just give a specifics of the business model? Suppose he hires procures a technically qualified diploma or ITI, how easy or difficult it is for him or her to be self-employed, also be an entrepreneur, employ few local guys or girls, and also be a successful business model. And what is the competition that he is going to face in the succeeding? Suppose he is successful, now the next level, the next person in the next village, then another model will be there, another fellow will be there. So how much will be the competitive, how much that will be a very viable model, so that we can advise our young guys and girls to be an entrepreneur in that trend. Thank you.
So Mr. Venkat can give the answer, but in short.
So in our country, we have close to 6.5 lakh villages. Okay, and so probably 3 to 4 years down the line, we foresee no manual spraying. There will be only drone spraying. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, Odisha government is already giving subsidy to purchase drones. Okay. So if you, let's say, invest 5 lakhs on a drone, okay, and if you start offering spraying services on your own, let's say you cover 20 acres per day, okay, with the drone, and you charge rupees 300 or 400 per acre, okay, you will be easily making rupees 6,000 to 10,000 income per day, okay. And assuming that you offer these spraying services for 200 days in a year, you will make a lot of money, okay. So this sector, the drones in agriculture sector has immense potential, okay. So there is a requirement for close to 1 million drones in agriculture sector, okay, and it will provide a lot of employment opportunities. Thank you.
I think similarly, there is surveying, mapping, the projects that are going on right now. We are constantly looking for people who can do that. We manufacture drones, we have systems in place, we can train them. We want them to come to us, and we would be very happy to sort of give them drones, extend whatever support we can, plus projects, and right nearby their locations. That's the idea, and as we mature, as the sector matures, this will be more and more common. Assembly and manufacturing of drones is going to be a centralized activity because it's highly, compliant process. However, local level entrepreneurship is the way to do this at a massive scale.
Just to add one more thing, so what we're also doing to encourage more startups, obviously the ones who are not, who are cash strapped, who don't have enough money to start with, even if, let's say, the loan period starts, many times you've seen it can take a long time before the loan can actually come to your bank account. So we as a company are starting drone rentals soon, which basically would mean it's like a wet lease model in the aviation industry, where our drones certified, with our certified drone pilots will work for you or for the service projects that you end up taking. So all you have to do is take the local lead generation and pick up that business, and then we come in as partners who will give you the drone and the certified pilot, so you don't have to invest heavily on capex. Your upfront commitment is not as high, so the business risk is mitigated, and we end up taking that risk for you. But from our end, we would be giving you, because the entrepreneur needs to make sure that the machine that if he or she ends up buying has to stay in the air. The drone will only make money if it's in the air, right? Similar to aviation. So how do we ensure the asset utilization, is proper? So in that essence, with our drone rentals, we're going to take away that, that issue. वो बंदा कल सुबह सोचा यार मेरा आज drone उड़ेगा या नहीं उड़ेगा, whether I'm going to make money tomorrow or not. So we want to hedge that risk for that individual and come in as the technical, support partner for these entrepreneurs. And all they do is local lead generation. They have the connect with the local, at the farmer level as well. So the trust is on that person. So I think the entrepreneurs can play on that trust when we come in as a back-end support for them. Yeah, so that's something we could do with the community.
This is from
so just add to what Chirag said. See, anybody willing to become an entrepreneur, so you can actually work as interns, let's say for 3 months, 4 months. You can work, in agriculture drone cluster, or you can work in the mapping area. And once you gain experience, okay, then you can take a decision to purchase a drone or to work as an employee. Okay. So you will understand the nuances during this 3 months, 4 months internship, and then you can take a call on the way forward.
One last question.
This is from Polytechnic Malkagiri. So we have got the proposal from Garuda drone manufacturing company.
Sir, can you erase? Yeah.
So we have got the proposal from Garuda manufacturing company, drone manufacturing company. Hopefully we will go for MOU with Garuda. But my question is, the training required for drone, whether it is included in sector skill council or not?
Sir, just like driving, basically it's a regulatory requirement. You need to approach a DGCA authorized remote pilot training organization. This is a regulatory mandate outside the sector skill ecosystem, which is the basic drone operations training. For that, it's a license requirement by Ministry of Civil Aviation. Beyond that, the other types of skilling that can be taken up by the sector skill council and the various aspects around it or the Sector Skill Council can make a course, some of them have already done it, which includes this regulatory training. But to operate a drone in this country, you have to go to a DGCA approved drone training school. That's the mandate. So anyone else giving any other skilling, they can do skilling, no problem. But that does not give you the certificate or the license to operate a drone as per rules. So that's how the ecosystem is. Same like driving training.
Thank you.
Ma'am wanted to have a last question.
Let me, please. One last. I think we have actually run out of time.
We are here for the rest of the time, so we can
so,
discuss.
ma'am wanted to have the last question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sir, me, Dr. Deepak, Medical Officer in charge, Conclave, representing National Health Mission. So the points which we all talked about now, we talked about the defense, we talked about the geography, and we talked about agri, many things. So now I just listened from Satyabrata sir, the medical. So the role of drone at the medical, like, is there anything, if you can figure it out, or do we have any such success stories, especially during the COVID, to get the treatment delivered? And me being a community health specialist, we lost many of our, not the public, especially our healthcare providers, the doctors, many frontline workers, we lost just because the direct contact, taking the COVID scenario or many other things. So is there anything as such of the drone, like the technology and advancements in the medical field, ultrasound or robotic surgeries or the laparoscopic surgeries, whatever it is, medical is always hand in hand with the technologies. So is there any role of the drones in the medical field, so that we really have a lot of funds in the medical field? If suppose if there is any medical disaster,
I'll give you a quick answer.
Yes.
There are quick answer. Yes. 7 states have done a pilot project on delivery of drones and delivery via drones on critical medicine and vaccine. Details we can discuss offline. Ma'am.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask the same question what Kirti had mentioned about inclusion. I know that you people have tried your best. I just wanted to know if there is anything which we can do, because something like Odisha can do. Yesterday we had a discussion in there, it was told that it's not only a mandate, it's just a ethos for the government to ensure that women are sufficiently given the opportunity in all the fields. So if there are any specific intervention we need to do to make more and more girls in the drone industry, please let us know so that we can take it up.
Definitely, ma'am. We have noted that, and thank you so much for engaging.
So it has been a good 2 hours of very dense, I mean, it has been so dense that it has been difficult to process as well. So thank you to all our respected panelists. But just we have a small exchange of MOU between the Parla Maharaja Engineering College and ISAM regarding training, internship and production of the electric vehicles. I would request the principal, Parla Maharaja Engineering College, and the representative from ISAM to quickly come over and exchange the MOU, please. I would like to request Sri Ashwin Gowda, Director of Karnataka Skill Development Corporation, to come over to felicitate our respected panelists, as also Ms. Jitamitra Satpathy and Ms. Sabra Rani Sahu, who are one of our leading women ITA principals. We would like their tribe to increase, but as of now we have only 2 of them today with us. Please come over and felicitate our panelists.
I also request you to please stay back for a quick photograph with the panelists. A quick announcement for lunch. The lunch is being served at the hangar where we all had lunch yesterday also, just near the main venue, yesterday's main venue. Since it's a bit far away, we also have some electric vehicles manufactured by our Odisha-based startup Skyrider Institutions parked outside. Some of you can use that. And if you would like to walk, you can also walk down. It's not that far away. So thank you all for joining us in this today's session. Thanks to all the panelists for joining us, and we would certainly like to work more with you. Thank you. Yeah. Emails of all the panelists will be circulated so that you can also carry forward your questions over mail.